When the negative mind is neutralized through meditation, the body is set free to do what nature designed it to do: repair itself. By Jose Silva, the founder of the Silva method. Enter the world of the UltraMind. What if I told you that the greatest power you will ever discover is already within you? Long before personal development became a global movement, before meditation apps, mindset coaching, and peak performance science, there was a man who quietly revolutionized the way we understand the human mind. His name was Jose Silva. He didn't just study the mind, he trained it. He expanded it. He unlocked it. This was the first true personal development program in the United States, a system that introduced the world to something extraordinary: the Alpha and Theta brainwave states. States where the mind becomes calm, focused, and incredibly powerful. While the world believed that ESP, extrasensory perception, was a rare gift possessed by a chosen few, Jose Silva proved something radical. Intuition is not a gift. It is a skill, and it can be trained. He showed that ordinary people like you, could learn to access deeper levels of awareness, even while fully awake. And he did this long before the word meditation became mainstream. By guiding individuals into these relaxed mental states, he opened the door to abilities most people didn't even know they had: clarity, creativity, healing, and insight beyond logic. By the 1970s and 80s, the Silva method had become a global phenomenon. Seminars filled up across continents, tickets generated nearly 100 million annually, and millions of people experienced transformation. But to truly understand its power, let me share a story. You may have heard of the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull, a timeless classic in personal growth. Its author, Richard Bach, captivated millions with a story about freedom, purpose, and transcending limits. But what most people don't know is that he struggled deeply to complete it. The ending just wouldn't come until he attended a Silva method class. In an interview with Harper's Bazaar, it was revealed that this very training helped him unlock the vision he needed to finish the book. The result? A masterpiece. Millions of copies sold. A feature in Time magazine. That is the power of the Silva method. And he wasn't alone. Countless individuals, myself included, have achieved remarkable breakthroughs using these tools. But then something changed. As Jose Silva grew older, and after his passing in 1999, the original method slowly began to fade. Seminars declined. Momentum weakened. Yet, just before his death, around 1995-96, Jose Silva made one final breakthrough. From his deathbed, he created an advanced, evolved system, a next-level version of his life's work. He called it Jose Silva's UltraMind ESP system. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. An organization was already teaching the original Silva method, the same system popularized by the book The Silva Mind Control Method. When Jose introduced his new work, they refused to adopt it. Why? Because change disrupts comfort, and adopting a new system meant changing everything they had built. So they chose to hold on to the past. But Jose Silva had a different vision. He entrusted this powerful new method, the UltraMind system, to a small group of trusted individuals, his nephews and close allies. Together, they carried his final legacy forward and built a new path, a new organization, a new beginning. And so today, two worlds exist. On one side, the original foundation, and on the other, the evolved advanced system, Jose Silva's UltraMind ESP system. Now you are about to step into that world. A world where intuition becomes practical, where imagination becomes a tool, where your mind becomes your greatest ally. This is not just a program. This is a transformation, and your journey begins now. Introduction. A lesson in discovering your inner guide. Let's begin with a simple question. What if you could connect with a higher intelligence that guides your decisions? Not guesswork, not luck, but real guidance, leading you toward success, happiness, and fulfillment. Every human being arrives on this planet with a purpose, and every human being is given the inner resources to fulfill that purpose. So why do so many people struggle? Why do so many chase success yet feel empty? Why do so many work hard but still feel lost? The answer is surprisingly simple. Wrong goals plus wrong methods is equal to wrong results. Most people try to live the life they think they should live, instead of the life they were meant to live. They try to walk alone, ignoring the help that is already available within them. And as a result, even when they achieve material success, they often feel stressed, confused, or dissatisfied. But there is a better way, and this book is here to teach it. Lesson 1. There is help from a higher intelligence. For over 22 years, researcher Jose Silva studied one key question: why are some people consistently more successful than others? His discovery was revolutionary. Human beings operate in two dimensions: the physical world, using fast beta brainwaves; the spiritual or mental world, using slower alpha brainwaves. At the alpha level, the mind becomes calm, focused, and deeply receptive. It is in this state that intuition awakens, and communication with higher intelligence becomes possible. Jose Silva developed practical techniques to enter this alpha state and use it consciously. These methods became known worldwide as the Silva method, now taught in over 100 countries. His mission was simple: teach people how to use the subconscious consciously. Today, millions have benefited from this work because it works. Lesson 2. The true purpose of intuition. Think about this. Some people just know things. They sense opportunities before others. They make decisions that seem magically correct. Jose Silva discovered why. The most successful people have strong intuition. They access information beyond ordinary physical senses. But here's the deeper truth he uncovered. We were given psychic ability so we can receive guidance from higher intelligence. That became his true mission: to teach people how to connect with this higher guidance and use it to live successful, happy, fulfilled lives. And that is exactly what you will learn in this book. Lesson 3. The 3 steps to mastery. You do not need special talent. You only need to learn 3 simple skills. Step 1. Learn to reach the alpha level. Relax the body, calm the mind. We will show you exactly how. Step 2. Develop the correct attitude. You will learn how to recognize your true mission and how to act on the guidance you receive. Step 3. Communicate through mental images. Higher intelligence responds to visualization, not spoken words. We will teach you how to use imagination as your communication tool. Practice a few minutes a day. Apply the methods correctly, and you will begin to experience results. Not theory, not belief, real, repeatable results. Lesson 4. This is no longer a mystery. Today, science, medicine, and psychology openly recognize intuition. Business research shows top executives rely on precognitive insight. Medical studies confirm prayer and focused intention affect healing. Experiments prove even cells respond to thought. This is no longer hidden knowledge. It is mainstream and practical. Lesson 5. What this book will teach you. This book is your step-by-step training manual. Section 1. Learn to reach and function in the alpha level and connect with higher intelligence. Section 2. Remove inner blocks that limit your success. Section 3. Apply these methods in real-world areas: health, relationships, business, and purpose. Each chapter builds your skill, like lessons in a masterclass for the mind. Final lesson: begin now. Success does not start tomorrow. It starts now, because tomorrow, when it arrives, is still today. Turn the page, do the first exercise, and begin your journey toward guidance, clarity, and fulfillment. Your inner teacher is already waiting. Section 1. Introduction to Silva Techniques. Before you can build a strong house, you must first lay a solid foundation. The Silva techniques work the same way. In this first section, you are not just reading information. You are preparing your mind for a new way of functioning. These chapters are designed to teach you how to reach the alpha level, the relaxed yet alert state where your mind becomes more receptive, creative, and capable of guidance. Think of the alpha level as the doorway. Once you know how to open it, every technique in this book becomes easier and more powerful. If you are already familiar with Jose Silva's mind training system, perhaps through a Silva seminar or this video from the YT AudioBooks YouTube channel, How to Control Your Mind, the Silva Mind Control Method, full audiobook Jose Silva, then you can proceed with confidence. But if this is your first encounter with the Silva method, don't worry. You are about to embark on a 40-day training journey that will gradually and systematically teach you how to access deeper levels of inner awareness. Here's how to proceed. Practice the exercises in Chapter 1 for 10 days. Then move to Chapter 2 for the next 10 days. Continue with Chapter 3 for 10 days. Finish with Chapter 4 for the final 10 days. These 40 days are not a test. They are a training ground, a way to condition your mind, just as repeated practice trains an athlete's body. You may watch this video from beginning to end like any normal book. But before applying the advanced techniques, make sure you have mastered entering the alpha level. Once this foundation is built, you will be fully prepared to use every method in this book to gain guidance, clarity, and success in your life's mission. Step by step, day by day, mindfully and patiently. That is the Silva way. Chapter 1. Help from a higher power. Opening, a question that changes everything. Have you ever felt that a quiet voice inside you knew the right answer before your logical mind could explain it? Have you ever experienced a coincidence so perfect that it felt planned? What if those moments were not accidents at all, but guidance from a higher power? This chapter begins with one powerful idea. You are not alone in your journey. Help is available if you learn how to listen. The ancient belief, great minds trusted a greater mind. Throughout history, extraordinary people believed they were guided by something beyond themselves. Shakespeare wrote, "There's a divinity that shapes our ends." Filmmaker Cecil B. DeMille said, "Let the divine mind flow through your own mind, and you will be happier." From philosophers to artists to inventors, many claimed that their greatest ideas were not created, but received. So the question arises, is divine guidance only faith, or can it be experienced in a practical way? The scientific question. For centuries, religion said, "Believe." But Jose Silva asked, "What if we could test it?" He believed, if something is real, it should work again and again, not just once. That is the scientific method. Repeatable experience is equal to evidence. And so, a simple radio repairman from Mexico began a 22-year experiment to understand the hidden power of the human mind. The moment of doubt. 5 years into his research, Jose became discouraged. Psychologists disagreed with each other. Religious people criticized him. Friends avoided him. One night, exhausted, he threw his psychology book across the room and said in his heart, "Why am I doing this? I should quit." He went to sleep. A light in the mind. 2 hours later, Jose woke up because a brilliant light appeared inside his mind. In that light floated numbers. 343, 373, then an image of Christ appeared. Moments later, everything disappeared. He lay awake until morning wondering, what was that? A dream, a message, or madness? Searching for meaning. The next day, Jose tried to find those numbers. In telephone books, on house addresses, on vehicle plates. Nothing. By evening, his wife asked him to cross into Mexico to buy medicinal alcohol. At the same time, a friend arrived and invited him for coffee. On the way, Jose told his friend about the mysterious numbers. His friend suddenly said, "Mexico has a national lottery. Maybe those are lottery numbers." They stopped at a lottery shop just before closing. Inside, his friend called out, 343 is here." Jose bought the ticket. 2 days later, he won over $10,000. In 1949, that was a fortune. More than luck. When Jose retraced every step, he saw something extraordinary. His wife unexpectedly asked for alcohol. His friend arrived at the perfect moment. The lottery office had just closed, forcing them to the liquor shop. The ticket existed only in that one store. The numbers appeared in his mind the night before. One coincidence, maybe luck. 5 coincidences in perfect sequence, that's guidance. Jose concluded, a higher intelligence had redirected him, just when he was about to quit his research. A new mission. From that day forward, Jose said, "If guidance exists for me, it must exist for everyone." He continued his research and eventually created the Silva method, a system to help ordinary people enter deeper levels of mind, activate intuition, and receive guidance directly. Facing opposition, at first people feared him. Religious groups accused him. Authorities investigated him. Friends avoided him. Even his wife doubted him. But when they saw children improving, people healing, lives changing, opposition slowly turned into acceptance. Proof through experience. After 22 years of testing, Jose discovered, every human being can. Enter a deep, relaxed brain state. Activate intuition. Receive inner guidance. Improve life decisions, not through blind belief, but through practice. A new kind of thinking. Originally, people used the method for personal success. Later, Jose evolved it into something greater. Not, what can I get? But, how can I help? A shift from me-centered to we-centered thinking. Because true guidance always benefits more than one person. The teaching message. This chapter teaches a simple truth. When you sincerely seek your purpose, the universe responds. But you must quiet the mind, learn to listen inward, trust the guidance, take action when signs appear. Moral lessons of the chapter. Great ideas often come from beyond ordinary thinking. Coincidences may be meaningful guidance. Doubt often appears just before breakthrough. Guidance comes when you commit to your purpose. Practice makes intuition stronger. Opposition is a test of conviction. True guidance benefits not only you, but others. Every person has access to higher intelligence. Faith and science can work together. The mind is far more powerful than we were taught. Closing line. The journey has just begun. In the next step, you will learn how to enter the deep mind, the doorway through which guidance flows. Now, let's begin. What is Alpha? The hidden power inside your mind. Imagine this. You're sitting quietly in a room. Your phone is switched off. The world outside is silent. For a moment, your thoughts slow down. Your breathing becomes calm, and suddenly you feel peaceful, alert, and deeply aware. Not sleepy, not tense, just perfectly balanced. That peaceful, powerful state has a name. It is called Alpha, and learning to use it can change your life. Your brain, a living biocomputer. Your brain is like a biological computer. Just like a laptop runs on electricity, your brain runs on tiny electrical signals. These signals move in waves, fast waves and slow waves, measured in cycles per second, hertz. Scientists discovered that your brain operates in 4 main wave levels. Beta, above 14 cycles per second. This is your everyday thinking mode, when you're talking, working, worrying, or rushing. Alpha, 7 to 14 cycles per second. This is the calm, creative, relaxed but aware state, the gateway to your deeper mind. Theta, 4 to 7 cycles per second. Deep relaxation, hypnosis, and powerful imagination. Delta, below 4 cycles per second. Deep sleep, where the body heals and the mind rests. Among all of them, Alpha is the golden bridge, the meeting point between conscious and subconscious mind. Why Alpha is so special? In the 1950s, researcher Jose Silva asked a daring question. What if people could stay awake and think while in Alpha? Most scientists said it was impossible. They believed Alpha was only for sleep and daydreaming. But Jose Silva proved them wrong. He discovered Alpha waves carry strong, steady energy. Thinking in Alpha gives clearer focus. The mind becomes more receptive to new ideas. Imagination becomes more powerful and real. In simple words, Beta thinks, Alpha creates. How most people use their minds. Here's the surprising truth. Most people think only in Beta, the weakest and most stressful brain state. When their brain slows to Alpha, they fall asleep. Only a few successful people naturally stay awake in Alpha. These people concentrate better, visualize clearly, program their minds for success. Jose Silva called them the 10%ers, the rare group who think in Alpha. And the good news? You can train yourself to become one of them. Your first Alpha experience. Learning Alpha is not magic. It is training, just like learning to ride a bicycle. Jose Silva designed a simple daily practice. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply and relax. Count backwards slowly. Imagine a peaceful place. Repeat a positive affirmation. Count yourself awake again. Do this for 15 minutes a day. Continue for 40 days. Slowly, your mind learns. I can enter Alpha and stay aware. Why this training works? Because counting backward relaxes the mind. Relaxation lowers brainwaves. Visualization programs the subconscious. Affirmations plant new beliefs. One affirmation in Alpha is more powerful than 1,000 in Beta. That's why some people visualize success and achieve it, while others only wish. The 40-day mind training plan? To build your Alpha skill. 10 days. Count backward from 100. Next 10 days from 50. Next 10 days from 25. Next 10 days from 10. After 40 days, entering Alpha becomes natural and easy. Step by step, no rushing, no shortcuts. The teaching behind the method. 1. Relax the body, because a tense body blocks a calm mind. 2. Guide the brain with counting, slowing thought waves naturally. 3. Use imagination, because the mind believes what it clearly pictures. 4. Use affirmations, because repeated thoughts become reality. 5. Return to alertness gently, so the mind learns control. Simple, scientific, practical. The moral lessons. Your mind is programmable, just like a computer. Calm energy, alpha, is stronger than stressful effort, beta. Success begins with controlling your inner state. Visualization plus relaxation rewires belief. Small daily practice creates lifelong transformation. Patience in training unlocks mastery. The power you seek outside is already inside your mind. Chapter 2. The Correct Depth. Opening. A silent power that changes everything. Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and instantly command trust? They speak with certainty. They make decisions confidently. They seem guided by something beyond ordinary thinking. People follow them. Opportunities open for them. Success seems to recognize them. What is their secret? Is it luck? Is it intelligence? Or is it something deeper? A connection to a higher source of guidance. This chapter reveals an extraordinary truth. Success is not only about effort. It is also about reaching the correct depth of mind, where guidance, intuition, and higher intelligence become accessible. The leaders who listen within. Throughout history, people have followed those who appear guided by a higher power. Religious leaders gain devoted followers. Visionary business people build empires. Great inventors discover ideas that seem to arrive from nowhere. Many of these successful individuals quietly admit, I listened to a little voice inside. That inner voice, intuition, has helped countless people reach extraordinary heights. Because people recognize the power of this ability, some have even tried to fake it. There have been false healers, false prophets, and fake miracle workers, pretending to have divine power to gain money or followers. This shows one important truth. People deeply desire guidance from something greater than themselves. But there was a problem. Even when someone genuinely had this gift, they didn't know how it worked. They couldn't explain it. They couldn't teach it. They simply assumed everyone functioned the same way. And their followers were so busy following that no one learned how to develop the ability for themselves. The gift remained locked inside a few rare individuals until someone decided to study it. Napoleon Hill and the Law of Success. In the early 1900s, a young reporter named Napoleon Hill met steel tycoon Andrew Carnegie, the wealthiest man in the world. Carnegie told Hill, "Successful people are different from ordinary people. Find out how they think, and the world will benefit." Carnegie opened doors for Hill to interview the greatest achievers of the age. For 20 years, Hill studied them. His conclusion was revolutionary. The most successful people have an unusual ability to sense information with their minds, beyond ordinary reasoning. Hill believed that if average people could learn to push their minds beyond normal limits, they too could achieve greatness. But there was one thing Hill could not do. He could not find a method to teach this ability reliably. The secret was still missing its key. Jose Silva finds the missing key. In the mid-20th century, a man named Jose Silva began searching for answers, not for fame, but to help his own children succeed in life. He asked, why are some people naturally successful while others struggle? He explored science. He explored the mind. He explored religion. Being raised Catholic, he first checked whether his experiments violated religious teachings. They did not. In fact, he found that the teachings of Jesus supported many of his discoveries. But Silva went further. He studied all major religions, and he discovered something astonishing. All religions aim toward the same destination: connection with higher intelligence. Different paths, same mountain. This realization gave Silva confidence. The techniques he was developing did not belong to any religion. They belonged to human potential itself. And then came his greatest breakthrough. He discovered how to teach ordinary people to reach the correct depth of mind, the level where higher guidance becomes available. The missing key was finally found. Many paths, one destination. Great thinkers throughout history have hinted at this truth. Lao Tzu said, "The broad-minded see truth in different religions." Aristotle said, "God has many names, though he is one being." The Bible says, "You are all one." The Quran says, "Every child is born into the religion of nature." The message is clear. No matter your belief system, the doorway to higher intelligence is the same. And now, that doorway is available to you. Finding the correct depth. Your mind operates at different levels, like gears in a machine. Beta, everyday waking thinking. Alpha, relaxed, focused awareness. Theta, deep intuitive perception. Delta, deep sleep and connection with high intelligence. Jose Silva discovered how to teach people to consciously reach Alpha, the gateway level, where the mind becomes powerful, calm, and receptive. From Alpha, intuition sharpens, healing accelerates, guidance becomes clear. But to reach Alpha, one must learn deep relaxation, physically and mentally. That is why Silva developed structured relaxation exercises, not guesswork, not imagination, but a repeatable method. This is what makes the Silva system unique. It does not depend on talent. It depends on practice. Why the correct depth matters. Some things block access to deep mind levels. Sleeping pills, heavy medications, alcohol, smoking, nervous system disturbances. These interfere with natural brain rhythms, especially delta, where deep inner communication occurs. But at deeper mind levels, you can regain control over habits, health, and mental clarity. The deeper the level, the greater the mastery. The gateway, physical and mental relaxation. Jose Silva taught, first relax the body, then relax the mind. Then Alpha appears naturally. By using simple visualization and imagination, you guide your body into releasing tension from scalp to feet. Then you quiet the mind with peaceful mental scenes. Finally, you enter Alpha, the correct depth, where the mind becomes a powerful tool for self-management, healing, and intuitive guidance. And best of all, anyone can learn it. Moral lessons of chapter. Some people succeed because they access deeper levels of mind and intuition. True inner guidance is real, but it must be learned, not faked. Past geniuses had the gift, but no method to teach it. Napoleon Hill discovered the power of intuitive minds, but lacked the training key. Jose Silva found that key, a way to teach ordinary people extraordinary mental control. All religions point toward the same inner connection with higher intelligence. Reaching the correct depth of mind unlocks intuition, healing, and self-mastery. Physical and mental relaxation are the doorway to Alpha. With practice, anyone can reach this level and transform their life. Chapter 3. The Correct Attitude. Opening. The question that changes everything. Imagine this for a moment. You close your eyes. You ask the universe for guidance. You wait for a miracle. But deep inside, a quiet question rises. Why do I want this help? For myself alone? Or for something greater? Because the truth is simple. The door to higher guidance opens only to those who knock with the right intention. This chapter is about that intention. The correct attitude. The motive behind the miracle. Many people ask for guidance from higher intelligence. They want success, money, comfort, recognition, pleasure. But pause for a moment and ask, will higher intelligence help you take from others? Will it help you win by making someone else lose? Will it help you live only for yourself? The evidence says no. Higher intelligence responds to a different call, the call of those who wish to serve, to heal, to solve problems, to make life better for others. Your real job on Earth is not merely to survive or succeed. Your job is to correct problems, and in doing so, help transform this world into a better place. A simple law of life. If you want help from a higher power, you must help fulfill the higher purpose. Think of it this way. If you work for an employer, you must do the job, or the paycheck stops. Life works the same way. If you want the universe to support you, you must support the universe's work. And what is that work? Helping life evolve. Healing, creating, serving. A boy who learned the secret of abundance. When Jose Silva was only 6 years old, his father died. He became the oldest male in the family. He knew he had to help support his brother and sister. He started shining shoes. More shoes shined, more money earned. He sold newspapers. More service, more income. He cleaned offices at night. More trust, more opportunity. At every step, he learned a powerful truth. The more people you serve, the more life serves you back. No magic, just universal law in action. Why the Silva method exists. For 22 years, Jose Silva helped people. without charging a single penny. He shared knowledge. He healed. He guided. And the more he helped, the more knowledge came to him, as if higher intelligence was saying, "You are using this for good. Here is more." That attitude created the Silva method. Not greed, not ambition, but service. The first rule of the mind. The very first Silva affirmation says, "My increasing mental faculties are for serving humanity better, not for ego, not for selfish gain, but for contribution." And here's the beautiful irony. When you live to serve, life takes care of you. What makes truly successful people different? Jose studied successful people with EEG machines. He discovered they entered the calm alpha state to think and decide. But later, he discovered something even more important. Their attitude. The happiest and most successful people were not selfish. They were balanced, giving and receiving in harmony. They worked to improve the world, and the world rewarded them in return. Give, but keep balance. If you give only to get, that is trading, not giving. If you never allow yourself to receive, that is also imbalance. Nature always seeks balance. Give generously, receive gracefully. That is the correct attitude. A lesson from a tragedy. Two neighbors once argued over a chicken damaging a garden. Their husbands argued. One man shot the other. A family destroyed. A prison sentence. Children without fathers. All over a chicken. When we forget what is truly important, small things become disasters. Correct attitude means keep perspective, choose peace, value life above pride. When you lift humanity, you lift yourself. You are part of humanity. Helping humanity is helping yourself. That is why the happiest lives are those lived in contribution. Heroes are not perfect. They persevere. Even champions fall. Like Olympic gymnast Carrie Strug, injured in pain, one last chance, she rose and completed her vault. Not because she was fearless, but because she refused to quit. Correct attitude is not never falling. It is always rising again. The path forward. Before sleep, before prayer, before meditation, check your attitude. Ask, am I seeking only for myself, or am I willing to serve something greater? Because once your motive is right, the guidance you seek begins to flow. Moral lessons, the correct attitude. Higher guidance responds to service, not selfishness. The more people you help, the more life helps you. True success comes from balancing, giving, and receiving. Keep perspective. Small things are never worth great harm. Serve humanity, and you uplift yourself. Do good because it is right, not because you expect reward. Perseverance creates heroes. Right motive opens the door to higher intelligence. Chapter 4. Communicating correctly. A story of guidance, purpose, and listening. Have you ever felt that quiet nudge inside you? The feeling that you're meant for something more, but you can't quite hear the instructions clearly? Almost as if life handed you a mission, but forgot to include the manual? This chapter is about learning how to listen, not with your ears, but with your mind, your awareness, and your actions. A bigger conversation than we realize. Jose Silva believed that life is not random. According to his research, each of us was sent here with a purpose to correct problems and help improve life on Earth. The happier, healthier, and more fulfilled people tend to be, the more problems they have helped solve along the way. But here's the challenge. How do you know what you are supposed to do? Jose proposed a simple yet powerful idea. We are in constant communication with a higher intelligence, what he called headquarters. And just like astronauts on a mission, we need to report in, receive guidance, and act wisely. The astronaut analogy. You're on a mission. Imagine astronauts sent to the moon. They are trained, equipped, and sent into an environment scientists cannot directly experience. The scientists back on Earth rely on the astronauts to send reports, what they see, what they find, what obstacles they encounter. The scientists then analyze this information and send back guidance. In the same way, Jose believed, we live in the physical world. High intelligence exists in a spiritual dimension. We are the eyes and ears. Guidance flows after we report what's happening. If astronauts stop communicating, the mission fails. If we stop listening or ignore the help when it arrives, our mission falters too. The mental video technique, reporting to headquarters. The mental video technique is a structured way to communicate. Each night, before sleep, you mentally 1. Review your problems and current efforts. 2. Turn problems into projects. 3. Visualize clear step-by-step solutions. 4. Deliver this mental report with the intention that it reaches your spiritual tutors during deep delta sleep. The idea is simple. The more clearly you communicate, the better the guidance you receive. Receiving guidance isn't always obvious. Guidance rarely arrives as a booming voice from the sky. It shows up as thoughts, dreams, ideas, inspiration, coincidences, unexpected opportunities. The danger? Sometimes we confuse our desires with divine guidance. That's why Jose emphasized testing guidance through action. The lesson of Farmer Brown: when help is ignored. There's a classic story Jose shared. A flood threatens a farmer's life. Help comes 3 times: a warning, a boat, and a helicopter. Each time, the farmer refuses, saying, "God will save me." After he drowns, he asks God why he wasn't protected. God replies, "I sent you help 3 times. The lesson is clear. Help often arrives in practical form. If you pray for guidance, you must recognize and accept it when it comes." How to know if you're on the right path. Jose offered a practical rule for evaluating guidance. If each obstacle takes longer to overcome than the last, you may be heading in the wrong direction. If obstacles become easier and progress accelerates, you're likely aligned with your mission. In short, don't batter down doors that won't open. Step back, look for another door. Sometimes, as one Silva instructor joked, you discover the door opens toward you, not away from you. A powerful turning point. Jose almost quit. Even Jose Silva once misunderstood guidance. Criticism, financial pressure, and exhaustion led him to believe he should abandon his research. One rainy morning, he packed away his books. Then his young son walked in, soaked from the rain, carrying a perfectly dry roll of paper. Inside was a powerful image of Christ. To Jose, this symbol meant perseverance, sacrifice, and service to humanity. He realized he had misread the message. The resistance wasn't a sign to quit. It was training for greater challenges ahead. He resumed his work and never stopped again. Action is the final test. Jose believed in one ultimate standard of truth. That which, when applied, corrects problems is real. Ideas must be tested. Guidance must be applied. Results reveal the truth. If something works, keep doing it. If it doesn't, change course. Using the mental video technique, simply explained. 1. Analyze the problem while fully awake, beta. 2. Relax into alpha using countdown techniques. 3. Visualize the problem clearly. 4. Create a mental video of the solution, step by step. 5. Go to sleep with the intention of delivering the video during delta sleep. 6. Observe results over the next few days. Your solution must help others, not harm. Be realistic. Improve life on Earth. Benefit at least 2 people. The more people helped, the more support you receive. The bigger vision. Jose believed that when people learn to listen, act wisely, and cooperate with higher intelligence, life improves, not just for individuals, but for humanity. Success, creativity, and even lucky accidents often happen when people are deeply connected, relaxed, and receptive like artists, performers, and innovators. Practice makes this natural. Eventually, guidance becomes part of everyday life. Moral lessons from Chapter 4. We are here with a purpose, to correct problems and improve life. Guidance requires communication, clear reporting, and attentive listening. Help often arrives in practical, unexpected forms. Faith without action leads nowhere. Results, not beliefs, determine truth. Obstacles teach direction. Ease signals alignment. Don't force closed doors. Look for open ones. You are already equipped for your true mission. When something works, repeat it. When it doesn't, change it. A better world begins with better listening. In the end, the message is simple. Listen, act, observe, adjust. And never forget you're not alone on this mission. Section 2. Expand your capabilities. Let's pause and ask a simple but powerful question. What is the Silva program really about? To answer that, it helps to listen to someone who was there at the very beginning. Nelda Sheets was not just any student. She attended Jose Silva's very first commercial class in Amarillo, Texas, in 1966. Later, she became the first person other than Jose himself to teach the Silva method. Few people understood the system more deeply than she did. Years later, her young grandson asked her a question that many adults struggle with. "Mimi, what is Silva all about?" Nelda was ready. She explained carefully and thoughtfully. She talked about learning to use more of the mind. She described focus, intention, and directing thought toward meaningful goals. She spoke for 45 minutes. When she finished, her grandson smiled and said, "Oh, I get it, Mimi. The Silva system is learning to talk to your brain to get what you want." In one sentence, he captured what had taken her nearly an hour to explain. Nelda later laughed and said she remembered thinking, "I knew he was a genius." But there's a deeper lesson here. The core idea made simple. The Silva method is not about magic. It is not about wishful thinking. It is about learning how to communicate with your own mind. When you know how to talk to your brain, you recognize what blocks your success. You learn how to remove mental obstacles. You act with clarity instead of confusion. You move closer to your life's true purpose. That is exactly what the chapters in this section are designed to teach you. Why this book is different. Most success books have a hidden problem. Their methods do work, but mostly for the authors and a small group of readers. Why? Because many of those authors are natural alpha thinkers. They think, imagine, and problem-solve effortlessly at the alpha brainwave level. What they often don't realize is this. Most people do not naturally function at alpha. When readers try to apply the techniques without reaching alpha, the results are weak or non-existent. The authors then highlight the few success stories. Those natural alpha thinkers, while 90% of readers see little real change. Your real advantage. This is where you are especially fortunate. This book does not just explain ideas. It connects you to a system of training and support. Around the world, Silva instructors are available to help you learn how to function at the alpha level, step by step. That means you don't have to be born a natural alpha thinker. You don't have to guess whether you're doing it right. You are guided, trained, and supported. In short, you are not just reading about success. You are learning how to prepare your mind so success techniques actually work. That is what it truly means to expand your capabilities. Chapter 5. Practicing turning quiet moments into powerful change. Have you ever noticed how the best ideas come when you're not forcing them? In the shower, on a quiet morning, in that soft space between sleep and waking. That space, the calm, receptive state of mind, is exactly where real change begins. After 40 days of countdowns, or after completing a Silva seminar or home study course, you've learned how to enter the alpha level. Now comes the part that turns knowledge into results. Practice. Not hard work, not strain, but gentle, consistent practice. Building the foundation, learning to stay in alpha. Entering the alpha level is like opening a door. Staying there is like learning to sit comfortably inside the room. Start by using the 3-to-1 method to enter your level. Once there, remain for at least 5 minutes. 10 minutes is better, 15 minutes is excellent. What do you do during this time? You might deepen your state by counting down from 25 to 1, 50 to 1, or even 100 to 1. You might simply relax, letting your body soften and your breathing slow. Or you might mentally travel to your ideal place of relaxation, a real place you've been before, where you felt completely passive and at ease. When you vividly remember such a moment, something fascinating happens. Your brain recognizes it and tries to recreate the same physical conditions. This is a conditioned response. Your body begins to relax automatically, as if it's saying, "Ah, I know this place." Once relaxed, you can review the goals you're working on. See yourself succeeding. Feel the satisfaction, relief, or joy you'll experience when it's done. Emotion gives your mental images power. Timing matters. When practice comes easily, some moments are naturally better for alpha practice. Morning, just after waking, is the best time. Your brain is already close to alpha, and you're less likely to fall asleep. Bedtime is the second best. Your mind is naturally slowing down, ready to drift inward. After lunch is the third best. The body relaxes to digest food, and a mild drowsiness makes alpha easier to reach. One warning: stay awake. Falling asleep means you miss the benefits of alpha functioning. If this happens, adjust. Sit instead of lying down. Make yourself slightly less comfortable. Even raising one arm can help. If it starts to fall, you'll instantly become alert again. At the same time, don't become too mentally active. Too much thinking pulls you out of your level. Periodically check in with yourself. Are you calm? Relaxed? If needed, deepen again, count down from 10 to 1, relax your eyelids, and let the relaxation flow down your body, or visualize peaceful, passive scenes. Once you feel steady and comfortable, continue with your programming. Over time, something remarkable happens. You stop wondering, am I at my level? You simply know. Wisdom from a natural alpha thinker. While working on this material, we came across the writings of a man who naturally lived in alpha, Robert Collier. In his 1947 book, Riches Within Your Reach, he addressed a question many students ask: why do I get results on small things, but not on the things I deeply want and truly need, even when they would help many people? His answer points to one of the core principles Jose Silva built into the UltraMind system. Do what you can and allow higher intelligence to do the rest. Collier explained it beautifully. When God wanted light, he didn't struggle or strain. He simply said, "Let there be light." In the same way, when you want something deeply, stop trying to force it. Ask and then relax. Let life work through you instead of trying to make it obey you. Do whatever is given to you to do. Follow each lead to the best of your ability. Then trust. Put your affairs lovingly into higher hands, confident that what is truly for your highest good will come to you. Living your purpose. Jose Silva taught that each of us is here for a reason, a mission, a job only we can do in our own way. When we align with that purpose, happiness, fulfillment, and prosperity naturally follow. Now you know how to enter Alpha. Now you know how to stay there. And now you know how to program your mind, not with struggle, but with trust to fulfill your mission successfully. Moral lessons from Chapter 5. Practice, not force, is the key to mastering the alpha level. Relaxation triggers powerful conditioned responses in the body and mind. The best results come when you combine effort with trust. Timing matters. Work with your brain's natural rhythms. Stay awake, calm, and gently focused to gain real benefits. Do your part fully, then allow higher intelligence to guide the outcome. True power begins when striving ends and alignment begins. Chapter 6. Get your brain to do what you want. Have you ever noticed how the mind quietly follows instructions, whether they're helpful or harmful? A small ache becomes a big pain because we keep thinking about it. A tiny worry grows into fear because we replay it again and again. Most of us don't realize this simple truth. The brain is already doing what we tell it to do. The problem is, we rarely tell it clearly what we actually want. This chapter is about changing that, not by force, not by struggle, but by gentle, deliberate direction. The possibility area, knowing what can be changed. Jose Silva taught that almost anything can be corrected as long as it is within the possibility area. Some things are still beyond current human understanding, like instantly growing a brand new arm or leg. But if something already exists and is simply damaged, strained, confused, or misdirected, it can be corrected. Headaches, insecurity, lack of focus, poor habits, emotional reactions. These are not mysteries. They are instructions that can be rewritten. The 5-step formula for reprogramming your mind. Think of change like a journey. You cannot reach a destination unless you know 1. Where you are now. 2. Where you want to go. Step 1. Recognize the problem. Be honest and specific. I have a headache. I feel insecure. I lose my temper easily. I crave unhealthy food. This is not complaining, it's setting the starting point. Step 2. Replace it with a positive direction. Ask a simple question. What do I want instead? I want to feel calm and clear. I want confidence. I want control over my emotions. I want to choose healthy food easily. Your brain needs a new destination. Step 3. Make a plan. Create a trigger, a simple action that tells your mind when to switch programs. Counting from 1 to 5. Bringing thumb and fingers together. Blinking the eyes. The simpler the trigger, the stronger it becomes. Step 4. Work the plan. Exit your relaxed mental level and activate the trigger. This tells your brain, now execute. Step 5. Claim the reward. Here's the secret most people miss. Act as if it's already done. Even if results are still forming, behave mentally as though success is a fact. This is not pretending, it's instructing. A story of letting go of pain. One of the most powerful examples of this method involved headaches and migraines. Instead of fighting the pain, the technique teaches you to replace headache with no headache. Not by checking for pain, but by expecting comfort. At deeper mental levels, the wording gradually shifts from ache to discomfort to no discomfort. The brain follows the path you lay out. If you check for pain, you reinforce pain. If you expect comfort, the brain searches for comfort. For migraines, the process is repeated 3 times, 5 minutes apart, each round reducing the discomfort further until it fades entirely. The brain doesn't just mask symptoms, it corrects causes. Linda's turning point. Linda Folk suffered from crippling migraines for over 16 years. Doctors tried medication after medication, nothing worked. Sometimes the pain was so intense she couldn't sit or lie down, only lean against a wall and pray. After learning the Silva method, control came slowly but steadily. Her breakthrough came when she realized something profound. I was focusing on the pain instead of feeling fine. The moment she changed her focus to, I feel fine, let it go, the migraines lost their grip. Eventually, they stopped appearing at all. Years later, she remained migraine-free and described it as one of the most meaningful victories of her life. Teaching the brain with triggers. One powerful trigger is the 3 fingers technique, bringing together the thumb and first 2 fingers. This simple movement becomes a signal. For focus, for recall, for calm attention. Students use it during lectures. Professionals use it in meetings. Anyone can use it to recall information later with surprising clarity. The brain learns. When this signal happens, I pay attention. Letting the mind work while you sleep. Sometimes the problem isn't lack of effort, it's lack of information. Jose Silva believed, there is no problem without a solution, only problems without enough information. Instead of exhausting yourself during the day, you can assign your mind to work while you sleep. Through dreams, flashes of insight, coincidences, or sudden clarity, answers surface naturally. 2 powerful tools. Dream programming. Asking for a dream that contains useful information. Glass of water technique. Using a simple ritual to cue the mind into solution-finding mode. The mind does not sleep. It searches. The deeper lesson. When you consciously enter your relaxed mental level and give clear instructions, your brain does whatever is necessary without creating new problems. No struggle, no substitution symptoms, no resistance, just quiet correction. Moral lessons from Chapter 6. Your brain already follows instructions. Choose them wisely. You must clearly identify both the problem and the desired outcome. Replacing a problem works better than fighting it. Expectation shapes results more than effort. Triggers train the mind to respond instantly. Pain and problems fade when attention shifts away from them. The mind can gather solutions even while the body sleeps. Calm direction is more powerful than force. When you learn to guide your mind gently, it stops being your obstacle and becomes your most loyal ally. Chapter 7. Programming with Images. A story about how pictures quietly shape our thoughts, decisions, and destiny. A spark before the lesson. Long before humans learned to write words, they learned to draw stories. On the walls of dark caves, our ancestors painted animals in motion, rivers flowing, hunts won and lost. Thousands of years later, we still understand those pictures instantly. No translation needed, no grammar required. Pictures, it turns out, are older than language and far more powerful. This chapter is the story of how those ancient pictures still live inside your mind, and how learning to use them consciously can change how you solve problems, communicate, and even receive guidance. The universal language of images. A poor communicator says, young people must take responsibility. A great communicator says, the torch has been passed to a new generation. Immediately, your mind creates a scene. You see it. That's the secret. Words are strongest when they create pictures. Pictures cross cultures, ages, and education levels. They bypass logic and speak directly to understanding. That's why a single image can explain what paragraphs of words struggle to convey. When you learn to work with mental pictures, through visualization and imagination, you gain access to one of the most powerful tools of mental programming. Visualization versus imagination, and why both matter. Not everyone sees vivid images in the mind, and that's perfectly fine. What matters is not clarity, it's concept. Let's simplify. Seeing is what you do with your eyes. Visualizing is recalling something you have seen before. A memory. Imagining is creating something you've never seen before. If you remember a torch being passed in a ceremony, that's visualization. If you invent your own scene, who's holding it, where they stand, what they wear, that's imagination. Later, when you recall that invented scene, imagination turns into visualization. If you can describe what something looks like, even roughly, you are doing it correctly. Why words support images, not replace them. Words are helpers. Images are the message. When you want to create a strong mental picture, it often helps to describe details to yourself. Hair color, facial expressions, clothing, environment. If you're working on a project, imagine yourself discussing it, explaining it, adjusting it. This builds a detailed inner picture. But remember, words exist to support images, not substitute for them. The mental screen, your inner communication system. Jose Silva introduced the concept of the mental screen, a space where you observe, study, and communicate using images. To find it, close your eyes, turn them slightly upward, about 20 degrees. Sense a screen in front of you, away from your body. This position naturally increases alpha brainwave activity, a state where intuition and creativity are stronger. In the physical world, you receive information with your ears. You transmit with your voice. In the mental and spiritual dimension, you receive through visualization. You transmit through imagination. Your mental screen can be any size you choose. It can be small, large, or surround you completely. You are always in control. Getting answers when you don't have enough information. Jose Silva taught a simple truth. There are no unsolvable problems, only problems with missing information. Students were trained to use their minds to access that missing information. For example, during exams. 1. Answer what you know immediately. 2. Use relaxation techniques and try again. 3. If still unsure, imagine your teacher on your mental screen. Ask for guidance, clear your mind, and then think again. The answer that comes, even if you think you made it up, is the best answer available to you. This same process can be used for relationship problems, business decisions, health routines, creative challenges. You imagine an expert, ask the question, clear your mind, and then figure out the answer. When you know the solution, the mirror of the mind. When both the problem and solution are clear, Silva taught the mirror of the mind technique. Here's the idea. Create a full-length mirror on your mental screen. A blue frame represents the problem. A white frame represents the solution. First, study the problem carefully in the blue-framed mirror. Observe details. Then, erase the problem image. Move the mirror to your left, the future. Change the frame to white. Project the solution image clearly. From then on, never return to the problem image. Whenever the problem appears in your thoughts, immediately replace it with the white frame solution. Programming wisely. Some key insights from Silva's teachings. The past is to your right, the future to your left. Always move forward, never revisit the problem. Watch for real-world feedback within a few days. Adjust your programming if results worsen. Sometimes effort blocks progress release and allow. Desire strengthens results. Purpose multiplies help. Silva emphasized that the more people your goal benefits, the more assistance you receive from higher intelligence. A story of faith in action. Hector Chacon, a basketball coach, learned Silva techniques to help his struggling team, and they won the district championship. But the surprise came on the golf course. While losing a match, Hector quietly entered his level while walking, used the mirror of the mind, and imagined winning the next hole. He won every hole after that, for months, so much that his friends refused to play with him unless they took the course themselves. The journey continues. In the chapters ahead, you will meet experts from many fields who used these techniques in real life. Their stories will inspire, guide, and expand your understanding. Your instructors will always be there, waiting on your mental screen, whenever you are ready. Moral lessons from Chapter 7. Pictures are the mind's natural language. Visualization recalls. Imagination creates. Words support images, not the other way around. The mental screen is a powerful communication tool. Every problem has a solution when enough information is available. Focus on solutions, never revisit problems. Release control and allow higher intelligence to assist. The greater the benefit to others, the greater the help you receive. Practice makes mental programming natural and effective. Learn to think in pictures, and your mind will learn to work for you. Section 3. Specialized Guidance. Imagine sitting in a quiet room, not with beginners, not with theorists, but with masters, men and women who have practiced, tested, refined, and lived these techniques for decades. That is what this section offers you. Learning from experience, not theory. In earlier sections, you learned the foundations. You understood the principles. You practiced the methods. Now, something different happens. Here, you are guided by experts who have used these techniques in real-world situations, in business, health, relationships, sales, creativity, and personal growth. These are not classroom instructors explaining ideas. They are practitioners sharing results. They do not speak from assumption. They speak from experience, and that changes everything. 400 years of combined practice. Think about this carefully. The contributors in this section have collectively spent more than 400 years using the Silva techniques. That averages nearly 20 years per person. This means they have faced doubts. They have made mistakes. They have tested what works. They have refined what doesn't. They have applied these methods in real-life pressure situations. What you are about to read is distilled wisdom, years of trial and success, compressed into chapters. More than techniques. Yes, you will learn new strategies. Yes, you will discover practical applications. But something even more powerful happens here. You begin to see what your future could look like. When you observe masters using psychic intuition, mental control, and higher guidance successfully, your belief expands. And belief changes behavior. And behavior changes results. These authors demonstrate what becomes possible when you quiet the mind, access higher intelligence, trust inner guidance, apply it consistently in real life. They are not extraordinary people. They are ordinary people who used extraordinary discipline. And so can you. How to read this section. You do not need to read these chapters in order. This is important. Think of this section as a toolbox. Interested in business? Start there. Curious about healing? Go to that chapter. Want to improve relationships? Jump in. Follow your interest. Often, the topic that attracts you most is the one your intuition is guiding you toward. Trust that. The deeper teaching. This section is not just about learning from others. It is about seeing proof. Proof that higher guidance is practical. Psychic abilities are usable. Mental control produces measurable results. Long-term practice creates mastery. As you read, do not just admire the authors. Ask yourself, how can I apply this? Because the real purpose of specialized guidance is not inspiration. It is implementation. Key lessons from Section 3. Learn from practitioners, not just teachers. Experience creates authority. Long-term use builds mastery. You can apply these techniques in any area of life. Follow your interest. It may be intuitive guidance. The future described by these masters can become yours. This section is an invitation, not just to read, but to step into a higher level of practice. Chapter 8. Programmed Dreams by Professor Clancy D. Mackenzie, M.D. What if the answer is waiting? While you sleep? Have you ever gone to bed worried about a problem only to wake up with a strange sense of clarity? Most people call it luck. Some call it intuition. A few call it coincidence. But what if it isn't random at all? What if your mind can be directed to work for you while you sleep like a trusted assistant solving problems in the quiet of the night? That is the idea behind programmed dreams. The difference between accidental insight and programmed insight. Throughout history, people have solved problems in their sleep. Scientists have discovered formulas. Writers have found story endings. Ordinary people have awakened with extraordinary ideas. But those moments are unpredictable. Programmed dreaming is different. Instead of hoping for an answer, you decide to receive one. According to Dr. Mackenzie, after learning the method through the Silva training in 1969, he used it consistently in medical and psychiatric practice. The principle is simple. Before sleep, you clearly state your question. Upon waking, you retrieve the answer. You don't need to meditate in a cave for 50 years. Every night, when you fall asleep, you already enter a deep level of consciousness. The only difference is awareness and intention. 2 simple techniques. Dr. Mackenzie describes 2 primary methods. 1. The dream with meaning method. Decide to dream about your problem. Decide that the dream's meaning will reveal the answer. Decide to wake at the end of the dream. Write it down immediately. 2. The first thought method. Tell your mind to work on the problem all night. Decide that your very first thought upon waking will be the solution. The key word in both methods is decide. The subconscious responds to clear instruction. A medical mystery solved in a dream. One of Dr. Mackenzie's hospitalized patients suddenly developed severe chest and abdominal pain. Doctors suspected either a heart attack or kidney infection. Before transferring her, he suggested something unusual. He told her, "Have a dream that tells you exactly what it is, where it is, why it happened, and what to do." That night, she dreamed she and her husband were driving on a winding road. Snow began falling. The car slid off the road and became buried. Just beyond was a dead end, followed by 3 right-angle turns. When she described the dream, Dr. Mackenzie recognized something extraordinary. The winding road resembled the small intestine. The dead end resembled the cecum. The right angles mirrored sections of the colon. It was an anatomical map pointing to an intestinal obstruction at the ileocecal junction. Surgery confirmed the diagnosis. But here is where it becomes even more remarkable. Before surgery, she programmed another dream. In it, a tall man wearing a turban gently massaged her abdomen. When she awoke, the obstruction was gone. To skeptics, it sounds like fantasy. To Dr. Mackenzie, it was simply data. Beyond medicine, everyday problem-solving. Programmed dreams are not limited to medical emergencies. They can be used for work decisions, financial concerns, parenting challenges, relationship questions, major life choices. Dr. Mackenzie even used it himself. After writing a harsh letter to a patient who was overusing medication, he later sensed during sleep that she had decided never to return. Realizing both minds were in a receptive state, he visualized her coming back calmly. The next day, she arrived and said, "I was furious when I got your letter. I decided not to come back, but this morning I changed my mind." She believed it was her idea. He believed the mind is more connected and more powerful than we realize. A warning dream that saved a life. A close friend of Dr. Mackenzie had serious heart disease. After repeated procedures failed, he was instructed through a programmed dream to get it over with. He underwent quadruple bypass surgery. The following night, Dr. Mackenzie dreamed the man was active too soon and an artery burst. The message was clear. Too soon. He rushed to warn him. 5 years later, the man was alive and well. Sometimes the dream is not about prediction. It is about prevention. What is really happening? Dr. Mackenzie does not claim mystical certainty. He simply reports results. But one thing became clear over time. When you repeatedly program your mind to seek answers during sleep, it begins gathering information automatically. It looks deeper. It connects patterns. It accesses knowledge beyond your conscious reasoning. The sleeping mind is not inactive. It is strategic. The bigger lesson. Programmed dreams teach us something profound. You are not limited to your waking intelligence. There is another level of mind quiet, creative, observant that works beyond noise and ego, and it becomes available when you give it direction. Moral lessons from programmed dreams. Your subconscious mind is always active even when you sleep. Clear intention before sleep directs the mind towards solutions. Writing dreams down strengthens recall and insight. The mind communicates symbolically. Learning to interpret symbols is powerful. Problems that seem unsolvable during the day often loosen at night. Fear decreases when you realize you have inner resources working for you. The mind can warn, guide, and sometimes even accelerate healing. Consistency builds reliability. Practice strengthens results. Final thought. Tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself one clear question. Then let your mind do what it has always been capable of doing. Work quietly. Work intelligently. Work for you. And in the morning, listen. Chapter 9. Direct Healing Energy. What if your thoughts were not locked inside your head? What if they traveled quietly, invisibly touching everything around you? Imagine walking into a room with a heavy heart. You say nothing. You do nothing. And yet, everyone feels it. Now imagine the opposite. You enter calm, confident, peaceful, and somehow the room softens. Is that coincidence? Or is something deeper happening? This chapter explores a bold idea that intention is energy and energy communicates. The night a plant read a mind. In 1966, A polygraph expert named Cleve Baxter made a discovery that would surprise the scientific world. Late one night in his office, Baxter attached polygraph electrodes to a dragon tree plant. His original plan was simple: measure how long it took water to travel from the roots to the leaves. But what happened next changed everything. As he observed the readings, he noticed something unexpected. The plant's response on the polygraph looked eerily similar to a human being reacting to a threatening question during a lie detector test. Curious, he asked himself, what would threaten a plant? He decided to burn one of its leaves. He reached for a match, and the polygraph needle jumped wildly. But here's the shocking part. The reaction didn't occur when he burned the plant. It happened when he merely intended to burn it. Baxter later said, "It was obvious to me. This thing read my mind." Pretend versus intend. This was not a one-time accident. Baxter repeated the experiments with plants, and even with human white blood cells separated from the body. The results continued, but there was a condition. When someone pretended to burn the leaf, without real intention, there was no reaction. When someone truly intended to burn it, the reaction appeared immediately. According to Baxter, living cells can tell the difference between pretend and intend. That idea carries enormous meaning. Your cells are alive. Your body is made of living cells. If separated white blood cells can respond to their owner's emotional state from a distance, what might be happening inside your body when you experience anger, fear, hope, or love? Baxter's work was later featured in the book The Secret Life of Plants by Peter Tompkins and Christopher Bird, and in The Secret Life of Your Cells by Robert B. Stone. The central message was powerful. Thoughts are not trapped inside the brain. They permeate every cell. Energy cannot break, it restores. This research strongly supported the work of Jose Silva, who taught that at the alpha level of mind-deep relaxation, combined with focused awareness, you can project healing intention. Silva's approach to holistic faith healing suggested something profound. Physical force breaks, spiritual energy restores. Intention attracts matter back to its original blueprint of health. You cannot harm at a distance through spiritual energy. You can only help restore balance. Why? Because destructive force requires physical action. But healing energy works differently. It aligns, harmonizes, and corrects. The scientist who tested laying on of hands at a 1972 conference sponsored by the Mind Science Foundation and Silva International, a biologist named Bernard Grad presented fascinating experiments. He studied whether healers could affect laboratory mice through the laying on of hands. The results suggested they could. He also tested plants and seeds. When exposed to healing intention, they grew better. Then came an even more interesting experiment. Water used to nourish plants was held by different individuals. When held by a healer, plants grew faster. When held by a severely depressed individual, plant growth slowed. The implication? Water and matter in general may store human intention. Think about that. Every meal prepared, every glass of water poured, every environment you sit in, energy may be transferred more subtly than we realize. Why this matters to you? Whether one views these findings as spiritual, energetic, or still awaiting full scientific explanation, the lesson is practical. Your intention matters. Not your words, not your performance, not your pretending. Your true intention. If living cells can detect authenticity, then your body certainly can. Chronic stress feeds cells negative signals. Calm belief sends stabilizing signals. Focused healing intention may support restoration. This does not replace medicine. It does not dismiss science. It reminds us that mind and body are not separate systems. They are deeply connected. The deeper teaching, direct healing energy is not about magic. It is about alignment. When you enter a calm, focused state, like the alpha level taught by Silva, you reduce mental noise. In that quiet state, intention becomes clearer, and clarity amplifies influence. The message of this chapter is simple but profound. Your thoughts are not passive, they participate. And what they participate in depends on you. Moral lessons from this chapter. Intention is stronger than pretense. Living systems respond to authenticity. Thoughts may influence the body at the cellular level. Negative emotions can affect physical well-being. Calm, focused intention can support healing processes. Energy used for healing aligns and restores rather than breaks. What you think while preparing food, touching others, or caring for yourself may matter more than you realize. Developing mental discipline and emotional balance strengthens your overall health. Final reflection. If your cells are always listening, what message are you sending them today? Chapter 10. Dealing with Disabilities by Bill Sturdivant. What would you do if your body suddenly refused to cooperate with your plans? Would you surrender? Would you grow bitter? Or would you decide that your mind still holds the steering wheel? This is not just a chapter about disability. It is a chapter about power. The power of attitude, imagination, love, and persistence. When the body changes, the mind must rise. Life sometimes delivers news that feels like a storm. A diagnosis, a limitation, a label. For many people, that moment becomes a turning point, either toward bitterness or toward strength. Bill Sturdivant chose strength. He explains that Silva techniques can help people with disabilities in a very practical way, by changing how they cope. And coping is not a small thing. When a person stops fighting reality and starts working with it, something shifts inside. Bitterness drains energy. Acceptance releases it. When you improve your attitude toward your condition, stress decreases. And when stress decreases, energy increases. That extra energy can then be used creatively, to adapt, to adjust, to live more fully. At deeper mental levels, solutions begin to appear. How can I work around this? How can I live as normally as possible? What new strengths can grow from this? Instead of asking, why me? The question becomes, what now? And that question changes everything. Changing how others treat you. One of the hidden struggles of disability is not the physical condition. It's public attitude. For example, a person in a wheelchair often feels more respected when others sit down while speaking to them, so they are eye to eye. That small act restores dignity. But here's the powerful idea. You can influence how people treat you. Using techniques like mirror of the mind, you can visualize others responding to you with respect, kindness, and normalcy. When this inner image becomes strong, your outer behavior changes. And when your inner attitude shifts from, poor me, to, I can handle this, people respond differently. Energy is contagious. A negative attitude, filled with bitterness, helplessness, and resentment, makes others uncomfortable. They don't know how to respond. But optimism, even in difficulty, draws people in. Joy attracts, confidence reassures. You begin projecting strength instead of suffering, and the world mirrors that projection. A personal battle with MS. Bill didn't speak from theory, he lived it. His sister had multiple sclerosis, MS, and he watched her struggle. Later, when doctors suspected he also had MS, he faced a choice. When a neuro-ophthalmologist suggested the diagnosis, the doctor likely expected devastation. After all, Bill had seen what his sister went through. But Bill had something else. Training in mental discipline. He believed there was nothing he could not confront with the techniques he had learned. Instead of collapsing emotionally, he stood firm mentally. He used habit control techniques to address symptoms, positive affirmations daily, sometimes 3 times a day, visualization to support physical healing. His sister even improved symptoms like choking and head shaking using mental techniques adapted creatively. The lesson: these tools are adaptable. They are not rigid formulas. They are instruments, and instruments can be used in many ways. Mind power plus physical action. Here's a mature and balanced insight. Using the mind does not mean ignoring the body. Bill encouraged physical therapy, massage, reflexology, herbs, anything that genuinely supports healing rather than just masking symptoms. He echoed what Jose Silva often taught. If you have a serious problem, throw everything at it that you've got. Mind programming is powerful. Medical support can be helpful. Physical therapy can strengthen progress. This is not about rejecting medicine. It is about not becoming dependent on it without also activating your inner power. The deeper root, self-love. One statement changed Bill deeply. A doctor once said he had never seen someone with an autoimmune disease who truly loved themselves. That hit hard. Bill realized he needed to program something even deeper than symptom correction. He needed to program self-love, because healing requires belief. Belief requires worthiness, and worthiness begins with love. You must love yourself enough to Do the programming consistently. Believe you deserve good health. Keep going when progress is slow. And as self-love grows, love for others grows too. Healing becomes less about fighting disease and more about restoring harmony. 3 powerful warnings. Bill shares 3 important cautions. 1. Be careful what you wish for. He once wished he had MS so he could prove to his sister it could be healed. Later, he faced that very diagnosis. Thoughts are powerful. Use them wisely. 2. Don't stop programming too soon. When you feel better, continue a maintenance dose. Consistency prevents relapse. Improvement is not the finish line. Stability is. 3. Okay is not good enough. Comparing yourself to someone worse off can trick you into settling. I'm not that bad. I'm doing okay. But okay can hide slow decline. True healing requires honesty, not denial, not comparison, awareness. The real message: disability is not only a physical condition. It is a test of attitude, identity, self-worth, persistence. The body may have limits. The mind does not. And sometimes the greatest healing is not eliminating the condition, but transforming the person living with it. Moral lessons from this chapter. Your attitude determines how much energy you have to cope with challenges. Visualization can influence both your behavior and how others respond to you. A can-do mindset attracts support. Bitterness repels it. Mental techniques are adaptable. Use them creatively. Combine mind power with appropriate physical care. Self-love is foundational to healing and resilience. Be careful with negative wishes or careless thoughts. Continue positive practices even after improvement. Never settle for okay when growth is possible. Disability does not define your worth. Your mindset does. In the end, Bill's message is simple but profound. The body may bend. Circumstances may change. But the mind, guided by love and discipline, can rise above both. Chapter 11. Grow Better as You Grow Older, by Rebecca Hickman. What if your best years weren't behind you, but waiting for your courage? What if too old was just a story you were telling yourself? Rebecca Hickman once believed that story. The course she didn't want to take it began with a friend. A psychic friend of hers said, "This is a real good course. I took it 20 years ago, and it changed my life." The course was based on the teachings of Jose Silva. Rebecca had already attended many workshops. She thought, "This will be exciting for a couple of weeks. Then I'll forget it and waste my money." When she heard the cost and the time commitment, she gave the 2 most common excuses in the world. "I don't have the money." "I don't have the time." Her friend replied, "You've got the time, and I've got the money." She literally paid for Rebecca's enrollment. That moment made Rebecca pause. If this meant so much to her friend, maybe there was something to it. She took the course in November 1987. It didn't just inspire her, it changed her life. A heart attack and a decision before taking the course. Rebecca had experienced something frightening. A heart attack. While lying in the ambulance, she made a powerful decision. This is not going to be the end of me. She believed she would live. She refused to close her eyes because she believed closing them meant giving up. She chose life mentally before her body recovered physically. That was her turning point. Soon after leaving the hospital, she took the Silva course. And for the first time, everything made sense. She learned something simple but profound. The right brain doesn't take a joke. She remembered often saying, "That really hurts my heart." She began to wonder, what messages had she been sending to her body? She stopped speaking carelessly. She started programming her mind intentionally, and she practiced everything she learned. If I were 20 years younger, Rebecca became passionate about learning more. She attended every class she could. She even drove 4 hours just to keep studying. One day she told her instructor, "If I were 20 years younger, I would love to go to Laredo and take instructor training." Her instructor responded firmly, "That's the silliest excuse I've ever heard." Rebecca was 69 years old. Her friends told her she was too old. Society told her she was too old. The world expects people to slow down, shrink, and prepare for decline at that age. But something inside her whispered, "Why not?" Asking for a sign. She decided to ask for guidance at a deeper mental level. If I receive money from an unknown source, I will take it as a sign to go. She didn't need the money. She needed confirmation. 2 weeks later, she received a letter from a childhood friend she hadn't heard from in 37 years. Inside was a $400 check from Wells Fargo Bank in California. The friend wrote that she didn't know why, but a number kept popping into her mind. She felt she owed Rebecca that amount. Rebecca smiled. She had asked the universe for a sign, and she received one. The money paid her way to Laredo. Becoming younger at 69, Rebecca attended instructor training in Laredo. There, she saw Jose Silva himself, older than she was, demonstrating powerful memory techniques with sharpness and energy. She thought, if he can do that at his age, I am not old either. She earned her instructor certificate. That was 12 years before she wrote this chapter. At 69, people told her she was too old to begin. 12 years later, she was still teaching at least one class a month. She didn't just grow older, she grew better. She loved a Spanish phrase often used by instructor Marcelino Alcala. Y no contamos. Stop counting. Stop counting years. Start counting growth. The deeper lesson, Rebecca discovered something powerful. Aging is not just physical, it is largely mental. When you decide you are finished, you begin to decline. When you decide you are beginning, you start to grow. She didn't become younger in years. She became younger in spirit, purpose, and energy, and that made all the difference. Moral lessons from this chapter. Growth has no age limit. Too old is often just an excuse disguised as logic. The mind influences the body more than we realize. Words matter, especially the ones you repeat about yourself. When you ask for guidance sincerely, signs often appear. Courage begins the moment you stop listening to society's limits. You don't have to grow older in spirit just because you grow older in years. Stop counting age. Start counting purpose. The real secret: you don't have to get old, you only have to stop growing. And the day you choose to grow again is the day you become young. Chapter 12. Build Better Relationships. By Alex Gonzalez Silva. What if I told you that your success in life has less to do with talent and more to do with how you treat people? What if the real key to happiness is not money, not status, not intelligence, but relationships? After 65 years of living, 45 years of marriage, and 22 years in the military, Alex Gonzalez Silva came to one simple conclusion: nothing matters more than how you relate to others. And he learned this not from theory, but from life. Relations versus relationships. Alex makes a powerful distinction. Relations are the connections we maintain in everyday life. Your boss, your coworkers, your banker, the staff you supervise. These are professional connections. They keep life moving. Then there are relationships. Your spouse, your children, your family, the people closest to your heart. These are personal, emotional, intimate. Both require skill, both require effort, and both determine the quality of your life. Lessons from the Air Force. During his 22 years in the U.S. Air Force, Alex rose to Senior Master Sergeant in military intelligence. He worked with highly classified information and reported directly to generals. He supervised enlisted personnel across multiple shifts. He saw something important. Promotions were often based on test scores, not on people skills. And that's where problems began. The Thailand story. On his final assignment in Thailand, Alex managed intelligence operations across day swing and midnight shifts. Each shift kept a detailed logbook. Complaints came in about the swing shift. They were slow to open doors. They read magazines. They appeared idle when the colonel walked in. Alex called in the sergeant in charge, a well-educated man with a master's degree. He told him simply, "When the colonel comes in, act like you're working. Be alert, answer quickly." The next morning, the colonel was laughing while reading the logbook. Why? Because the sergeant had written down word for word Alex's instruction in the official log for the next shift to read. technically correct, but lacking common sense. And that's the lesson. The 4 ingredients of great relationships. After decades of experience, Alex distilled relationships into 4 simple ingredients. 1. Love, not the casual, I love you we throw around. Real love, sincere love, love that is felt, not just spoken. 2. Forgiveness. Nobody is perfect. If you expect perfection, you will live in disappointment. Forgiveness frees both people. 3. Understanding. Listen more than you speak. Try to see from the other person's side. Most conflict exists because people want to be heard, not corrected. 4. Common sense. This may be the most underrated skill in the world. Books are helpful, degrees are useful, but without common sense, intelligence can embarrass you. The power of the alpha level, Alex teaches something deeper. He says that when you relax your mind into what the Silva method calls the alpha level, you gain access to more of your stored memories, better decision-making, greater emotional awareness, even insights drawn from others' experiences. When you are stressed, beta state, you react. When you are calm, alpha state, you respond wisely. And wise responses build strong relationships. How to improve your relations. Professional life. Listen first. Control your emotions. Be sincere and truthful. Use tact. Sometimes complete honesty isn't necessary. If your friend buys terrible earrings, you don't need to crush her spirit. A little kindness is wiser than brutal truth. Common sense always asks, will this help or will this hurt? The power of eye contact, Alex emphasizes something simple but powerful. Look people in the eyes. When interviewing for a job, look confidently. When speaking to someone you care about, look sincerely. Mentally send a message. Happiness to you. Energy travels through your eyes, sincerity can be felt. People don't remember your words as much as they remember how you made them feel. Protect the heart around the world. Whether Chinese, Mexican, American, or Indian, one truth remains. We all have a heart, and that heart must be protected. Before speaking, ask, will this build or break? Will this strengthen or damage? Even if something is true, if it causes unnecessary hurt, common sense says, stay silent. Walking in their shoes. One powerful exercise. Alex suggests, imagine placing the other person's head over yours, as if wearing a helmet. See through their eyes, feel what they feel. Understanding grows when ego shrinks. Correcting mistakes. The mirror of the mind. If you made a mistake, review it mentally, erase it, replay the situation the right way. This mental rehearsal rewires future behavior. The 3 scenes technique. For relationship challenges, Alex teaches a powerful visualization exercise. Scene 1. See the problem clearly. Scene 2. Imagine yourself handling it perfectly. Exaggerate the positive action. Scene 3. See the happy outcome. This method works because your brain practices success before reality demands it. Final reflection, relationships are not automatic. They require effort awareness, emotional control, practice. But when you build better relationships, you build a better life. Not perfect, but better. And better is enough. Moral lessons from this chapter, relationships determine the quality of your happiness. Love must be sincere, not casual. Forgiveness prevents emotional distance. Understanding grows when you listen more than you speak. Common sense is often more powerful than education. Protect people's hearts, words can wound deeply. Eye contact builds trust and connection. Relaxed thinking, alpha state, improves decisions. Visualizing success prepares you for real-life harmony. Relationships require work without effort. Happiness fades. In the end, success is not measured by rank, wealth, or achievement. It is measured by how many people feel safe, valued, and understood because you were in their life. Chapter 13. The Child of Your Dreams by Ken Mitchell. What if your child is not just born by chance, but drawn to you by intention? What if before a child enters your home, your heart has already called them? This is a story about intuition, faith, loss, second chances, and the quiet guidance that leads us exactly where we are meant to be. A world changing faster than we can imagine. There are so many good things happening in the world today that it's almost hard to keep up. Back in 1966, when Jose Silva first began teaching his methods publicly, most people laughed at the idea of psychic ability. Intuition? Programming the mind? Communicating with higher intelligence? It sounded unrealistic. But 3 decades later, businesses were training employees in intuitive decision-making. Medical schools were teaching spiritual healing. People openly spoke about trusting their inner voice. The world had changed. In the 1960s, the Cold War filled hearts with fear. The Iron Curtain divided nations. No one could have imagined that years later, an American family would adopt a child from Russia with the full blessing of the Russian government. But life has a way of surprising us. From success to despair, by age 35, Ken Mitchell seemed to have it all. A thriving real estate business, an 85-acre farm in central Illinois, racehorses, a 5,000-square-foot home, nice cars. From the outside, it looked like success. Then, in 1985, everything collapsed. Divorced, broke, custody of 4 small boys. He felt lost, like walking through a fog with no direction. And that's when the coincidences began. The first intuitive whisper. One Sunday, a friend invited him to church. As Ken sat waiting for the service to begin, he saw a woman walk down the aisle. Without thinking, he turned to his friend and said, "That's the girl I'm going to marry." He didn't know her. He wasn't looking to date. But the feeling was unmistakable. Her name was Karen Kelly. Years later, in 1992, they were married. But there was something else Ken sensed the very first day he saw her. A quiet longing in her heart. She wanted a child. He didn't know how. He didn't know when. But inwardly, he had promised, "I'll get you a child someday." When plans don't work, after their youngest son moved out in 1997, they decided it was time. They tried to conceive. They visited fertility specialists. They waited. Nothing happened. Instead of forcing the outcome, they became open to another possibility adoption. And once again, coincidences began lining up. A client turned out to be the head of foreign adoptions for Illinois. An unexpected sum of money arrived. An advertisement appeared at just the right moment. Each event felt like a nudge. They called their adoption journey the Kate Project. They planned to name their daughter Kathleen after Karen's late sister. They felt as if Kathleen was somehow helping them. The unexpected choice. Months later, they received a video from Russia showing 2 little girls. A 6-month-old blonde infant, the kind they originally requested. A 2-year-old girl named Zemfira. Their Russian contact said, "Zemfira's for you." They weren't sure. She wasn't what they had planned. But after watching the video, something shifted. The infant did not appear healthy. The 2-year-old seemed strong. The next day, Ken felt a deep knowing. We are meant to bring Zemfira home. When he shared this with Karen, she looked startled. She had come to the same conclusion, independently. Coincidence or guidance? On August 12, 1998, they returned to America with their daughter. And here is one more coincidence. Zemfira's birthday was July 19th, the same date as a daughter Ken had lost at birth in 1972. The little angel Zem adjusted beautifully. She learned English quickly. She made friends. She laughed easily. One night after prayers, Ken said to her, "You are our little angel, Zem." She replied, "No, Papa, I'm not an angel. But Mama's sister is an angel." They had never told her about Kathleen, never mentioned the name, never explained the Kate Project. So how did she know? Ken realized something profound. Intuition isn't just for business decisions. It isn't just for making money. It's a bridge to higher intelligence, a bridge to invisible support, a bridge to love that exists beyond logic. Jose Silva called it having an invisible means of support. And when you learn to trust that support, life unfolds in ways you never could have planned. What this story teaches us. The deeper lessons are powerful and practical. Your intuition often knows before your mind understands. Coincidences may be guidance in disguise. When one path closes, another, often better one opens. Intention matters. What you focus on begins to organize itself. Let go of rigid expectations. The right answer may look different than you imagined. Faith and action must work together. You can use your intuitive ability not just for success, but for purpose. Trusting inner guidance can lead you to exactly what your heart has been calling. Sometimes the child of your dreams doesn't arrive the way you planned. Sometimes she comes from across an ocean. Sometimes she comes through paperwork, patience, and persistence. And sometimes she was always on her way to you. Chapter 14. Insights for Guiding Children by Nelda Sheets. What do you dream for your children? Pause for a moment. Not what grades you want them to get, not which career you hope they choose, but who you want them to become when no one is watching. History has shown us that the dreams we hold for our children can change the world. When Martin Luther King Jr. stood before a crowd and declared, "I have a dream," he was not speaking only as a leader. He was speaking as a father who wanted a better future for his children. When Nelson Mandela endured imprisonment and injustice, he did so with a vision of a freer world for his daughter. He once wrote that misfortune can be turned into triumph with iron will and skill. And when Jose Silva created the Silva method, it was not for fame. It was for his 10 children. He wanted them to have inner tools, mental and spiritual skills to reach their full potential. That is where this story truly begins. A class that became a movement. When Jose came to Amarillo to teach 125 artists how to access deeper creativity, something unexpected happened. Within just a few hours, the class realized this was not only about art, it was about life. They learned to manage stress, improve memory, visualize success, strengthen intuition, solve problems creatively, connect spiritually. Nelda Sheets was there. She didn't just want these tools for herself. She wanted them for her 16-year-old son and 14-year-old daughter. That desire to equip family with inner strength helped spread the Silva system around the world. And then she asked a powerful question. What do you want for your family? The list every parent should write. Nelda's list was simple but profound. She wanted her family to have stress management skills, mental tools for health and fitness, creative problem-solving ability, artistic expression and appreciation, a fulfilling education and career, strong values and relationship skills, well-developed intuition, spiritual connection, belief in their own potential. This wasn't about raising perfect children. It was about raising empowered ones. 1. Stress management. Listening beyond words. When teenagers are stressed, they often don't say why. One day, Nelda noticed her 17-year-old son seemed withdrawn. He insisted nothing was wrong. Instead of pushing him, she used a Silva technique called subjective communication. She relaxed deeply, imagined being in his position. Put his head on, as she described it. Suddenly, she sensed his real worries. Leaving for college, the possibility of military service, the fear of making the wrong life decision. Later, she gently brought up the topic at dinner. He opened up. They talked. The pressure eased. The lesson? Children don't always need lectures. They need understanding. Authors Sandra and Dr. Gary Rosenberg, in Teenage Suicide, emphasize that teens need to feel life ahead is meaningful. When they cannot cope with stress, hopelessness can take over. The first gift you can give your child is emotional safety. 2. Mental skills for wellness. The magic mind. When Nelda's grandson Travis was 5, she taught him something simple. Before hitting a baseball, she told him to close his eyes and picture hitting it perfectly. She called it his magic mind. Years later, Travis became a star baseball player. His high school team won the Texas State Championship. When asked who taught him, he surprised everyone. My grandmother. Visualization became performance. The mind rehearses success before the body performs it. 3. Creative problem solving, seeing possibilities. A 9-year-old boy named Donnie had cerebral palsy. He couldn't even hold a pencil properly. Doctors saw limitations. Nelda saw possibility. Instead of focusing on what he couldn't do, she guided him to mentally rehearse writing his name using the mirror of the mind technique. Soon, he could write it. Then, he wanted to paint. She adapted materials. He learned watercolor. The world may label a child, but creative thinking removes labels and looks for solutions. 4. Creative expression. Nourishing the spirit art, Nelda believed, feeds the soul. One day, her granddaughter Jill admired the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in New Mexico and asked, "Where is God?" Instead of giving a lecture, Nelda guided her into quiet reflection, imagining going inside a flower and feeling the creative energy within it. Jill later exclaimed, "Now I know why everything is so beautiful." Creativity connects children not only to art, but to wonder. And wonder is the doorway to empathy. 5. Education, awakening desire to learn. A boy named Charlie was labeled with ADD. Teachers said he couldn't concentrate. But during a Silva children's class, he listened attentively and explained lessons clearly to younger kids. When asked why he disliked reading, he answered honestly, "The books are boring." He wanted to work with computers when he grew up, so Nelda guided him to imagine his future career, needing to read exciting information about technology. When he came out of relaxation, he simply said, "I want to read." 1 year later, he had an A average. The problem wasn't ability, it was connection. When children see purpose, motivation awakens naturally. 6. Social and family values, teaching empathy. In a 7th grade class on Guam, Nelda guided students to imagine traveling to South Dakota in 1860 and spending a day with the Sioux tribe. They didn't just read history, they experienced it. When they finished, they said, "But we made friends. We like these people." Empathy is not taught through memorization. It is taught through imagination and perspective. As Hillary Rodham Clinton wrote in It Takes a Village, raising children requires community effort and the cultivation of character. 7. Developing intuition. Trusting inner guidance. Jose Silva suggested starting at age 7. Children naturally operate at a relaxed, imaginative mental level. Through simple visualization and guessing games, parents can strengthen intuitive awareness without labeling it psychic. The key rules: practice regularly, encourage gently, never shame wrong guesses, reinforce the feeling of correct insights. Confidence grows when intuition is respected. 8. Spiritual connection. The second phase of evolution, Mother Teresa once said, "Spirituality is not preaching about God, but doing what is godly." Jose Silva spoke of a second phase of human evolution, where humanity grows spiritually, not just technologically. Former UN Secretary-General U Thant believed spirituality would bring harmony to society. Children today face enormous global challenges, but they also live in an era of expanded awareness. They can be taught that they are more than physical beings, that imagination is a creative force, that consciousness shapes reality, that they can leave the world better than they found it. 9. Awareness of one's potential. There is no greater gift than helping a child realize, "With my creative mind, I can do anything." Yes, the world has problems: war, crime, injustice, pollution. But it is also a time of awakening. The fact that a parent seeks growth, reads, learns, practices inner development, is proof that change begins at home. Nelda Sheets was the first instructor other than Jose Silva to teach the Silva method. She dedicated her life to equipping children and families with inner tools. Her message is timeless: raise children who are calm in chaos, creative in difficulty, empathetic in division, spiritually aware in a distracted world. Moral lessons from this chapter. Great change begins with a dream for your children. Emotional safety is the foundation of mental health. Visualization builds confidence and performance. Focus on possibilities, not limitations. Learning improves when purpose is connected to passion. Creativity develops empathy and deeper understanding. Intuition grows with gentle practice and encouragement. Spiritual awareness strengthens character and compassion. The greatest gift you can give a child is belief in their potential. Parents who grow internally raise children who grow externally. The world does not change first in governments. It changes in families. And it begins with what you decide to teach your children today. Chapter 15. Healing the Family. What if the greatest wound in your life is also your greatest teacher? What if the very people who hurt you the most are the ones sent to help you grow the strongest? We often think of wounds as something visible, a broken arm, a scar, a fever. But the deepest wounds are the silent ones, the wounds of rejection, of prejudice, of anger, of disappointment. These wounds of the spirit quietly drain our energy and block us from doing the work we were born to do. And yet, healing is possible. Through the teachings of Jose Silva, we learn that we can go deep within, to the calm, clear alpha level, and connect with the highest part of ourselves. In that space, something powerful happens. We stop reacting. We start understanding. We stop judging. We begin healing. At the end of Silva training, students are told, "You are a superior human being. You have greater understanding, compassion, and patience with others." Those words are placed at the most powerful point in the training cycle, the very end, because that is when the mind is most open to transformation. And transformation begins with family. Family. The first classroom of the soul family is where life begins. It is our first experience of love, and often our first experience of pain. We don't live alone in this world. Family is our first society. It is where we learn how to share, how to speak, how to disagree, how to forgive. It is where we discover how to balance our own needs with the needs of others. Yet family can feel like a battlefield. Over the years, society has tried to fix family problems through therapy, talk shows, books, and advice columns. We have addressed alcoholism, financial stress, control patterns, depression, abuse, and still, many families remain stuck in cycles of misunderstanding. Why? Because we often forget the true function of family. Family is not meant to trap us. It is meant to prepare us. It is a divine gateway through which we learn how to become independent, compassionate human beings capable of serving humanity. If we cannot learn to love and understand in our own family, how can we do it in the world? Can we really heal a family? The answer is yes. And it begins within. One powerful method taught in the Silva method is called case working. At the alpha level, you mentally detect a problem someone is experiencing. Then you mentally correct it, calmly, compassionately, without force. The results can be remarkable, not just for the person you help, but for yourself. Let me tell you a story. A grandmother's transformation. Carol, a Silva graduate from Arizona, faced what many parents would consider a nightmare. Her 15-year-old daughter began secretly dating an African-American boy. Carol's husband strongly opposed interracial dating. Their home turned into a battleground. Arguments intensified. Resentment grew. Eventually, the marriage ended in divorce. Then came more shocking news. Her daughter was pregnant. Carol reacted with anger and fear. She filed restraining orders. She wanted nothing to do with the unborn child. Financial strain weighed heavily on her. She felt betrayed, ashamed, overwhelmed. Then something changed. Both Carol and her daughter completed Silva training. Shortly afterward, her grandson was born 2 months premature. Doctors warned of serious complications. Fear filled the hospital room. But that night, Carol did something different. She went to Alpha. She began mentally working on the baby's physical challenges. At the end of each session, she imagined him as a healthy young boy crossing a finish line in a race. She pictured herself hugging him, lifting his arms in victory. Slowly, things improved. Some complications remained, but not all. When additional healing techniques were used, the baby was finally removed from the ventilator after previous attempts had failed. But the true miracle wasn't only physical. The baby became a bridge. Through her grandson, Carol began to see differently. She began to release prejudice she didn't even realize she carried. she began to see beauty in a culture she once rejected. Her heart softened, her world expanded, her family began to heal. The deeper truth. At the outer level, we see differences: race, background, beliefs, habits. At the alpha level, those differences dissolve. We experience a deeper reality. We are all connected. We are all here for a purpose. And our families are not accidents. They are assignments. There is no better place to begin healing the world than within your own family. Because when you change your perception, you change your energy. When you change your energy, you change your relationships. And when enough families heal, the world heals with them. Moral lessons from this chapter. Family is our first classroom in learning love, patience, and compassion. Spiritual and emotional wounds can be just as limiting as physical ones. True healing begins within, not by forcing others to change. Prejudice and resentment dissolve when we connect to a higher level of awareness. Visualization and focused intention at the alpha level can create real change. Sometimes the greatest conflicts become bridges for growth. When we heal our families, we contribute to healing humanity. Healing the family is not about controlling others. It is about transforming yourself and letting that transformation ripple outward. Chapter 16. A Medical Breakthrough by Clancy D. McKenzie, M.D. What if the key to mental illness was not hidden in a gene, but in a memory too early to remember? What if schizophrenia was not a mysterious chemical accident, but a flashback? And what if the breakthrough didn't come from a laboratory, but from learning how to think differently? This is the story of a psychiatrist who dared to look at the problem from another angle. The skeptic who took the class. In September 1969, Dr. Clancy D. McKenzie enrolled in a course by Jose Silva. He wasn't a believer. He joined partly because the course offered a bold promise: clairvoyance, or your money back. No one asked for a refund. Dr. McKenzie, trained in adult and child psychiatry and psychoanalysis, had already spent years studying the mind. But this course introduced him to something different: creative thinking at a deeper mental level. Looking back, he realized that 4 ingredients made his discovery possible. 1. Strong formal training, a solid foundation in psychiatry. 2. Distance from that knowledge. You cannot see a cloud while inside it. 3. Creative thinking techniques, learning to access deeper insight. 4. Love, a sincere desire to help patients. That last ingredient mattered most, because in healing intention changes everything. When students in Silva's method focused on helping others, insight flowed. But the moment ego entered, look what I can do, the ability disappeared. The lesson was clear: insight follows compassion. The mystery of schizophrenia. Dr. McKenzie began asking a simple but radical question. What if schizophrenia works like post-traumatic stress disorder? We understand PTSD. A soldier hears a loud noise. He relives combat. His body chemistry changes. His behavior shifts. Why? Because his brain returns to a past survival state. So Dr. McKenzie asked, what if schizophrenia is also a return but to an earlier time? The forgotten trauma here is the breakthrough idea. To a human infant, separation from the mother equals death. For millions of years in evolution, separation meant survival was impossible. Now imagine this: a family moves. A mother is busy with a sick child. A younger sibling is born. A parent is emotionally distant. To an adult, these seem minor. To an infant, they can feel overwhelming. The infant brain records the experience. Years later, something similar happens: a breakup, rejection, abandonment. And suddenly, the adult flashes back. Not just emotionally, neurologically. When time gets transposed, Dr. McKenzie once saw an 18-year-old girl running naked through a sprinkler, laughing like a toddler. As a child, he thought, what's wrong with her? Years later, he understood. The behavior wasn't crazy. It was developmentally accurate, but at the wrong age. Schizophrenia, he proposed, is infant behavior replayed in adulthood. A grown man screaming, "Mommy!" An adult reacting with childlike terror. The brain shifts back to earlier developmental structures, the ones active before walking, before talking. and those brain areas produce high levels of neurotransmitters like dopamine. Instead of asking, how does dopamine cause schizophrenia? He asked, what if the shift in brain activity causes the dopamine increase? The biology might be the result, not the cause. The difference from PTSD. Both PTSD and schizophrenia involve flashbacks. But here's the key difference. A combat veteran flashes back to an adult brain state. A schizophrenic patient flashes back to an infant brain state. When adult brain regions go unused, they weaken just like muscles. Use it or lose it. Brain atrophy then may be the result of disuse, not the cause of illness. This flipped the entire conversation, challenging the system. At the time, nearly $970 million was allocated toward finding biological causes of mental illness. Genes were constantly being discovered as causes of schizophrenia. Yet only about 10% of patients had a close relative with the disorder. Meanwhile, trauma showed a near one-to-one correlation. Dr. Mackenzie did not reject biology or genetics. He simply reframed them: genetics equals predisposition. Trauma equals trigger. Brain changes equals results of shifting developmental states. This became known as the unification theory of mental illness, a term coined by Dr. O. Spurgeon English. It unified psychology, biology, and genetics into one model. Why this matters. If schizophrenia originates from infant trauma triggered later in life, then understanding the origin means understanding treatment. And if the disorder is a shift in brain activity, then perhaps it can be shifted back. According to reports, Dr. Mackenzie's approach was tested on thousands of patients, and many improved significantly, some reducing medication within months. The deeper message? Understanding changes outcomes. When you understand the mechanism, you no longer feel helpless before it. The deeper lesson. This chapter is not only about psychiatry, it's about thinking differently. It's about stepping outside the cloud to see its shape. It's about compassion as a catalyst for insight. And it's about asking better questions. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs are not found by looking deeper in the same direction, but by turning around. Moral lessons from this chapter. Insight requires both knowledge and distance from knowledge. Creative thinking opens doors, traditional logic cannot. Compassion fuels clarity, ego blocks it. Many adult behaviors may have roots in early childhood experiences. Trauma does not always look dramatic from the outside. Biological changes can be results, not just causes. Genetics may predispose, but experience activates. To solve complex problems, ask, what if we are looking from the wrong direction? Understanding origin empowers healing. Sometimes what looks mysterious is profoundly simple once revealed. In the end, the breakthrough was not just medical, it was philosophical. And it reminds us of something powerful. Before we label behavior as broken, we must ask, at what age does this make perfect sense? Chapter 17. Silva Techniques in Mental Health by Sam Gonzalez, Silva. When a life hangs in the balance. Imagine your phone ringing at 2 a.m. On the other end is an emergency room nurse. A young man has just been brought in. His wrists are bleeding. His family is crying in the hallway. And someone has to decide right now whether he goes home or is confined for his own safety. That someone was often Sam Gonzalez Silva. For 21 years, he worked in crisis situations where every decision mattered. A wrong choice could cost someone their life. A harsh word could push a fragile person over the edge. A poor judgment call could create guilt that lasted forever. Psychology requires knowledge, training, compassion, and patience. But sometimes, Sam says, even that is not enough. Because there is no greater challenge than truly understanding another human being. The weight of quick decisions. Sam received calls in the middle of the night. He was paged during Silva training classes. He was summoned to emergency rooms to evaluate people who had attempted suicide. Many professionals play it safe. If someone attempts suicide, they can find them. Better safe than sorry. But Sam didn't rely only on procedures. He used something deeper. He used intuition. He would quietly sense, is this a moment of overwhelming grief? Or is this chronic despair that will return? Is this a cry for help? Or a serious plan to try again? Over the years, he sent many people home instead of confining them. And he never lost one. That wasn't luck. It was trained intuition combined with compassion. When the wrong approach costs a life, sometimes the method matters as much as the diagnosis. Sam tells a heartbreaking story of a parole officer who confronted one of his paroles about getting a job. Frustrated, he said, "If you don't get a job right away, I'll send you back to prison." It sounded firm, responsible, logical. That night, the parolee hanged himself. In his pocket, they found the parole officer's card. The officer had only done what he thought was right, but the timing was wrong. The approach was wrong. And now he carries that weight forever. This is the danger of using confrontation without intuition. Sometimes confrontation is necessary, but when used at the wrong moment, it destroys trust, and sometimes hope. A powerful lesson in rapport, one of the most moving examples, came from a psychologist in New York. He was conducting a group counseling session when one patient, a paranoid schizophrenic, suddenly began acting out. The man jumped up. He talked rapidly. He gestured wildly. Other patients became anxious. Normally, the therapist would try to calm him down, regain control, and restore order. But this time, he did something different. He used a Silva technique. Stepping inside another mind, at a relaxed mental level, the therapist imagined something unusual. He pictured the patient's head superimposed over his own, like wearing the patient's mind as a helmet. Then, he quietly tuned into what the patient might be experiencing. What am I sensing? What am I feeling? What thoughts are moving through this mind? Suddenly, the patient stopped. He stared directly at the therapist. "You know what I'm thinking, don't you?" The therapist cautiously said yes. "You have the same thoughts in your head that I have in mine, don't you?" Again, the therapist acknowledged that he believed he did. The patient paused. "Then that means I'm not crazy, because if I'm crazy, you're crazy too." In that moment, something extraordinary happened. The patient no longer felt alone. He no longer felt abnormal. He no longer felt isolated inside his own mind. Someone else understood. And that shared experience became healing. The therapist later said that the patient made more progress from that one moment than he had in the entire previous year of therapy. The deeper lesson: healing is not always about fixing. Sometimes it's about understanding. Sometimes it's about stepping into another person's world long enough for them to feel seen. Shared experience is powerful. When someone realizes, "You understand me," walls come down, defenses soften, hope returns. Sam Gonzalez Silva learned the Silva techniques as a child from his uncle, Jose Silva. After retiring from the U.S. Air Force in 1978, he worked with Southern Nevada Adult Mental Health Services and became one of the most experienced Silva instructors in the world. His work reminds us of something simple but profound. The mind can harm, but the mind can also heal. And when trained properly, intuition becomes one of the most compassionate tools in mental health care. Moral lessons from Chapter 17. Knowledge alone is not enough. Compassion and intuition are essential in mental health work. Timing matters. The right method used at the wrong time can cause harm. Confrontation requires sensitivity. Without rapport, it can destroy trust. Intuition can be developed. It is not magic, it is trained awareness. People heal when they feel understood. Shared experience reduces isolation. Rapport is more powerful than control. Connection heals faster than authority. The mind is both the problem and the solution. When properly directed, it becomes a tool for transformation. In the end, the greatest technique is not control. It is connection. Chapter 18. ESP for Executives by John Michalowski. When logic isn't enough, imagine you're sitting at the head of a long boardroom table. Charts glow on the screen. Spreadsheets stretch for miles. Analysts have done their homework. And yet, something feels off. You can't prove it. You can't explain it. But deep inside, there's a quiet voice whispering, "This isn't the right move." In today's business world, we worship data. We measure everything. We forecast, model, simulate, optimize. And still, Companies rise and fall as unpredictably as the weather. Why? Because numbers alone don't run the world. People do, and people have something more than logic: the limits of managing by the numbers. Over the years, executives began to rely heavily on rational tools: operations research, management science, computer modeling, data-driven forecasting. But ironically, as computers became faster, so did our ability to make bad decisions, just more quickly. It was like holding a wet finger to the wind and calling it strategy. Dr. John Michalowski proposed something bold. What if the most successful executives are not just logical thinkers, but intuitive ones? The precognitive decision-maker. In the 1960s and 1970s, at what is now the New Jersey Institute of Technology, the PSI Communications Project studied precognition, the ability to anticipate events before they happen. The researchers conducted a fascinating experiment. Participants were asked to guess a 100-digit number that did not yet exist. Later, a computer generated the number randomly. Statistically, a person guessing randomly should get about 10 digits correct. But here's what they found. Some people consistently scored above chance. Others scored at or below chance. At first glance, it might seem like luck. But when they looked deeper, something surprising emerged. The dynamic executive participants were divided into two simple personality types: dynamic, non-dynamic. The dynamic individuals, those more energetic, forward-moving, and decisive, consistently scored higher in predicting the random numbers. Out of 27 test groups, in 22 groups, dynamic individuals outperformed non-dynamics. The probability of this happening by accident? Less than 5 in 1,000. Now here's where it gets powerful. The Profit Connection researchers tested chief operating officers who had held their roles for at least 5 years. They divided them into two groups: executives who had doubled profits, executives who had not. The results were striking. Of 12 executives who doubled profits, 11 scored above chance. None scored below chance. Those who did not double profits averaged scores below random expectation. One president grew profits from $1.3 million to $19.4 million. His test score? 16. Another improved profits by only $374,000. His score? 8. Across multiple groups, including members of the Steel Distributors Association and Canadian executives, the pattern repeated. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't random either. So what is precognition? Michalowski argued it is not mystical. It may be an unconscious information process, a subtle perception of patterns, an intuitive integration of invisible variables. Precognitive signals often arrive as dreams, sudden flashes, gut feelings, quiet knowing moments. Interestingly, these insights often come when the mind is relaxed, when emotionally invested in a problem, when not actively thinking about it. Many executives admit privately, "I knew it would work." Then afterward, they build a logical explanation to justify it. Why stress kills intuition? The research revealed something critical. Precognition weakens under stress, fatigue, alcohol, dominating environments. In fact, when subjects were stressed, high scorers performed worse than random. Intuition thrives in calm mental states, confidence, non-threatening environments. Early hours of the day. The lesson? You cannot bully intuition into working. A story of business intuition in action. A Silva instructor, Nelda Sheets, once worked at a John Deere dealership. She and her boss had a goal: sell 50 tractors to win a trip to Nassau. Normally, they ordered 5 tractors at a time. When placing the next order, she went into a relaxed mental state and asked how many diesel tractors to order. Instead of an answer about diesel, she kept seeing a mental message: order all 50 tractors now. Her boss resisted. Their bank balance was tight. It felt risky. She relaxed again, asked again. The same message appeared. This time, she felt that unmistakable emotional certainty. This is right. They ordered all 50. Shortly after, a strike halted production. No new tractors were available. They had the only supply in the area. They sold all 50. And yes, they went to Nassau. The dominance effect. Another fascinating discovery. Intuition can be influenced by power dynamics. In environments where one group dominated, that group's intuitive accuracy improved. The dominated group sometimes performed inversely, as if subconsciously reinforcing hierarchy. This suggests intuition interacts with psychology and environment. It is subtle, sensitive, responsive. Developing executive intuition. According to Mihalaski, everyone has precognitive ability. The difference lies in awareness practice, courage to use it to develop it. 1. Notice gut feelings. 2. Record intuitive impressions. 3. Practice in low-risk decisions. 4. Reduce resistance. 5. Stay relaxed and well-rested. 6. Avoid forcing it under stress. Most importantly, do not deny it out of fear. Suppress it and it fades. Respect it and it strengthens. The executive edge, given 2 equally qualified leaders, who should get the top job? Research suggests, choose the one who has that something extra. The ability to decide wisely when data is incomplete. Because in the real world, data is always incomplete. Moral lessons and key takeaways. Logic and data are powerful, but incomplete without intuition. Successful executives often integrate unconscious insights with rational analysis. Intuition works best in calm, confident mental states. Stress, fatigue, and alcohol impair intuitive accuracy. Everyone has intuitive ability. Practice sharpens it. Courage is required to act on a well-grounded gut feeling. The best leaders combine analysis with inner awareness. In uncertainty, intuition may be your greatest competitive advantage. In business and in life, the future rarely announces itself with spreadsheets. Sometimes it whispers. The question is, are you quiet enough to hear it? Chapter 19. Intuitive Management by Hans de Jong. What if your next big decision could save lives and make millions? Imagine walking into your office on an ordinary Monday morning. By Friday, you've helped your company earn millions of dollars. And not only that, the product you helped create is saving human lives. How would you feel? Proud? Grateful? Powerful? The head of research at New Dimensions in Medicine didn't have to imagine it. He lived it. And the breakthrough didn't come from working harder. It came from thinking differently. The problem that logic couldn't solve. At that time, heart patients who needed artery replacement had a difficult option. Doctors had to remove arteries from another part of the patient's body and transplant them into the heart. Painful, risky, limited. The research director at New Dimensions in Medicine had a bold mission: create artificial arteries that the human body would accept. He worked tirelessly. Using his normal analytical thinking, what the Silva method calls beta level, he created 4 formulas. All failed. The body kept rejecting the artificial material. From a logical standpoint, he had reached a wall. And in business, walls are common. The biggest challenge in management is simple: making the right decision with incomplete information. As Jose Silva often said, there is no such thing as a problem without a solution. The issue is not whether a solution exists. The issue is whether we can access it. Entering the creative mind. The researcher attended a Silva training conducted by instructor Ken Obermeyer. There, he learned something powerful. The beta level is logical and analytical. The alpha level is creative and intuitive. More information is available at alpha than at beta. In simple terms, logic processes what you already know. Intuition accesses what you don't yet know. He decided to try something radical. Before sleeping, he programmed himself, tonight, I will receive the formula that solves this problem. During the night, he suddenly woke up. Half asleep, he wrote down a formula. Then he went back to sleep. The impossible solution. The next morning, he looked at what he had written. From a logical standpoint, it didn't make sense. If he had analyzed it in his normal state, he would have rejected it immediately. But instead of dismissing it, he tested it. He went into the lab. He created the sample. And this time, The human body accepted the artificial artery material, the solution that logic rejected. Intuition delivered. The breakthrough saved lives, and it generated millions in revenue. Does this mean logic is useless? Not at all. As Obermeyer explained, beta, logic, is necessary for analysis and testing. Alpha, intuition, is necessary for creative insight. Great management requires both. Think of it this way. Alpha finds the idea, beta tests and implements it. The researcher didn't blindly trust a dream. He tested it. That's intuitive management. Proof in the corporate world. This wasn't just a one-time story. At RCA Records, 25 executives took Silva training. Before and after the program, they were tested using psychological assessments. The results? Significant improvements in self-management, organizational leadership, positive personality traits, motivation. J.K. Mangini, a divisional vice president at RCA Records, described the program as an outstanding experience that left a positive mark on all who participated. He also emphasized something crucial. The method helped people become self-motivated. That is the heart of intuitive management. Not controlling others. Managing yourself first. The secret of successful leaders. If you read biographies of successful business leaders, you will notice something interesting. At critical turning points, they often made decisions that didn't look logical at the time. Yet those decisions led to their greatest success. Why? They were naturally accessing alpha, intuitive insight. The difference now? You don't have to be naturally gifted. You can train yourself. You can deliberately enter a calmer, more creative state of mind before making major decisions. You can. 1. Relax deeply. 2. Focus on the problem. 3. Ask for the best solution. 4. Allow insight to come. 5. Then test it logically. That's intuitive management in action. Becoming the hero in your company. The research director became a hero not because he worked longer hours, not because he forced results, but because he sought new information beyond logic, trusted creative insight, tested it carefully, took action. The same process can be used in business strategy, hiring decisions, marketing direction, investment choices, personal life decisions. The key is balance. When logic alone fails, intuition opens the door. Moral lessons from intuitive management. Every problem has a solution, but not every solution is found through logic alone. Great decisions require both analysis, beta, and intuition, alpha. When you calm your mind, you gain access to deeper insight. Creative ideas may seem illogical at first. Test them before rejecting them. Self-management is the foundation of effective leadership. Intuitive thinking can be trained. It is not just a natural gift. Breakthroughs often come when you relax, not when you struggle. If you manage your mind well, you can manage your business well. And when you combine intuition with disciplined action, you don't just become successful, you become extraordinary. Chapter 20. Intuitive Selling by Dennis Higgins. Have you ever walked out of a sales meeting and thought, I knew they were going to say yes? And other times, you felt something was off, but you couldn't explain it? What if selling wasn't just about scripts and closing techniques? What if it was about tuning in so deeply that you feel when the other person is ready? That's what intuitive selling is about. Selling begins before you speak. Dennis Higgins believed something unusual. Before you ask a customer for anything, you should first help them, at least mentally. In the Silva method, this meant working a health case. In simple words, you mentally check in with the person, wish them well, and imagine them healthy and whole. Why? Because when you genuinely want the best for someone, you tune into them. And when you're tuned in, selling becomes less about persuasion and more about understanding. The principle is simple. First connect, then serve, then sell. Building points of reference. In the Silva training, students practice projecting their awareness into objects, metals, plants, animals to sharpen perception. But Dennis asked a powerful question. Are you getting points of reference in your sales field? A point of reference is an internal memory of success, a felt experience you can return to. Here's how to build one. 1. Go to a calm, relaxed mental state, what Silva calls level. 2. Replay a successful sale in your mind. 3. See the client's face. 4. Hear their tone. 5. Notice the moment they were ready to say yes. 6. Most importantly, feel what it felt like. That feeling becomes your internal compass. Do this again with another successful sale. Now you don't guess when to close a deal, you recognize the signals. You felt it before. Handling objections, the intuitive way. Everyone asks, how do I handle objections? The intuitive answer is different from what most sales books teach. When someone objects, pause internally. Take a breath. Ask yourself silently, what's their real objection? Often the spoken objection isn't the real one. It's too expensive. Might mean I'm afraid it won't work. I don't trust you yet. I don't see the value. Your real job is not to defeat objections. Your job is to discover what they truly want, how your product helps them get it. When you focus on their need, not your commission, clarity appears. Preparing for big meetings. If Dennis was going to speak to a group, he didn't just show up. He gathered references. Where is the building? What kind of company is it? Who works there? What do they care about? He would even drive by the location to observe the environment. The night before, he would mentally rehearse, seeing the audience receptive, feeling calm and confident, delivering a needs-based talk. Instead of asking, how can I impress them? He asked, what do they need? That shift changes everything. Dealing with fear, let's be honest. Many salespeople are afraid. Afraid of big clients, afraid of cold calls, afraid of rejection, afraid of hearing no. Dennis says, it's okay to admit fear. The key is to examine it calmly. If you fear cold calling, picture yourself making the call. Watch what happens in your imagination. Notice what exactly scares you. Maybe you don't want to bother busy people. Maybe you want to be liked. Maybe you're afraid they can't afford it. Maybe you're afraid they're rejecting you. Here's the powerful shift. Clients are not rejecting you. They are deciding whether the product fits their needs. When you focus fully on serving the client, you stop making yourself the issue. And when you stop making it about you, fear shrinks. The greatest discovery. One of the most powerful insights attributed to Jose Silva was this. No one can help you as effectively as you can help yourself. Not a hypnotist, not a sales manager, not a psychologist. When you enter a calm mental state and ask yourself the right questions, your own mind gives you answers tailored perfectly for you. That's self-mastery. How to establish instant rapport. During an early sales lecture, Jose shared a powerful technique. Before sleep, relax deeply. Imagine meeting a specific person. See yourself calm, sincere, helpful. Program yourself to feel relaxed and confident when you meet them. Then, when you actually meet them, relax your body, quiet your mind. Focus on genuinely helping them. If your intention is pure, people feel it. But here's the warning. If you plan to manipulate or take advantage, they will sense that too. The law of cause and effect always operates. Trust is not built by technique alone. It's built by sincerity. The core principle, needs-based living. Dennis didn't just talk about needs-based selling. He believed in needs-based living. When your business is built on helping first, understanding deeply, acting ethically, sales stop feeling like pressure. They become service. And when people feel served, they buy. Moral lessons from intuitive selling. Selling begins with sincere intention to help. Build internal points of reference from past successes. Listen beyond words to understand real objections. Focus on client needs, not your fears. Rejection is about fit, not about you. Preparation builds confidence and intuition. Fear shrinks when examined calmly. True rapport comes from honesty and genuine care. You can guide your own mind better than anyone else. Make your life needs-based, not just your sales strategy. In the end, intuitive selling is not mystical. It is mindful, it is ethical, it is human. And when you truly care, people can feel it long before you ask for the sale. Chapter 21. Stress-free telemarketing. What if the most stressful job in the world could become your playground? What if rejection didn't drain you, but sharpened you? And what if success wasn't about scripts, but about your state of mind? This is the story of how one young woman turned telemarketing, a job most people dread, into a stage for extraordinary success. The girl who didn't know what an invoice was. When Catherine L. Sandusky first got a job at Silva International, she had just finished high school. Her first assignment? File invoices? Her response? What's an invoice? Not exactly a confidence-building start. She was supposed to handle accounts for instructors across the United States, and she didn't even know basic office terms. Some people quietly wondered if she would last. But here's what they didn't know. Kathy was about to learn something that would change her life. The turning point, learning to control the mind. One of the perks of working at Silva was free access to their course. Kathy signed up. Her instructor was Ed Byrne Jr. At the time, Ed was working on Sales Power with Jose Silva and Dennis Higgins. Kathy didn't just learn techniques. She learned how to program her mind. Soon, she wasn't just taking orders from instructors. She was upselling them. She imagined herself selling more than anyone expected. She visualized success so clearly that it felt real before it happened. And then it happened. Ed was impressed. So impressed that he invited her to sell merchandise at all his classes. What changed? Not her education, not her experience. Her mindset. From classroom sales to cold calls. 5 years later, Kathy moved to Austin and took a part-time job with a newspaper. The job? Telemarketing. 4 hours every evening, calling strangers, selling subscriptions, facing rejection after rejection. Most telemarketers average a few sales per hour. Many avoid calls because rejection hurts. But Kathy remembered something powerful. Sales points of reference. A concept suggested by Dennis Higgins. She went back to her level, the relaxed mental state taught in Silva training, and recalled her past successes. She remembered the excitement, the confidence, the feeling of Ed's surprise and praise, the energy of selling effortlessly. She replayed success in her mind, and then she picked up the phone. Results that shocked everyone. Her manager, Sharon, documented the results. 132 sales in just 15 part-time hours in 1 week, 88 upgrades in 2 nights, 61 conversions in a single 4-hour shift. She consistently sold over 100 subscriptions per week. The strange part? She had never taken a formal sales course. When asked what closing technique she used, she might have talked about her outfit instead. But Sharon noticed something. Kathy had a way of sensing exactly what to say. Even over the phone, she projected sincerity and enthusiasm. What was she really doing? She was using mental projection and intuition. The secret weapon, intuition, the Silva case-working technique, trained her to mentally detect what kind of problems people had. Once she confirmed accuracy, she would imagine correcting those problems. This sharpened her intuition. Now she could quickly sense who was open to buying, who wasn't, when to continue, when to move on. Many sales reps stay too long on calls, afraid of rejection. Kathy saw it differently. The more calls you make, the more chances you create. Rejection wasn't failure. It was filtering. If she sensed no, she politely thanked them and moved on. Her emotional detachment made her unstoppable. The power of mental projection. There's a story in the book Sales Power about Paulette Temple, who used the mirror of the mind technique to imagine patients surrounded by love before asking for payment. She became the top collector in her department. Kathy learned an even more powerful twist from Ruby Higgins. Ruby used a technique called the Alpha Uni mold. Imagine a mold shaped like a perfect human being. See people stepping into it. Fill them with positive white light health, happiness, love, peace, abundance. Ruby even used this technique while surveying CEOs of major computer companies. The result? Executives stayed on the phone for 30 to 45 minutes. They remembered her a year later. They thanked her. Why? Because people feel your energy even through a telephone. And here's the beautiful part, Ruby emphasized. You are in the mold, too. When you project positivity, You receive it. That's why Ruby ended her long workdays full of energy, not drained. The bigger lesson: telemarketing without stress. Telemarketing is stressful because people don't want to be interrupted. Rejection feels personal. Targets create pressure. Kathy removed the stress by changing the inside first. She programmed her mind for success, recalled past victories, trusted her intuition, detached from rejection, focused on opportunity, not fear, projected genuine care and positivity. Eventually, she went on to start her own marketing company. From what's an invoice, to top performer, to business owner, all powered by mental mastery. Moral lessons from this story: your mindset matters more than your starting point. Rehearsing past success builds present confidence. Rejection is not failure. It's filtration. Intuition grows when you train your mind to listen. People respond to sincerity and positive energy, even over the phone. The more action you take, the more opportunities you create. When you mentally uplift others, you uplift yourself. Stress reduces when you focus on service, not fear. If telemarketing, the job most people avoid, can become a platform for extraordinary success, imagine what is possible in your own field when you master your mind first. Chapter 22. Direct Marketing Success by Dr. John M. LaTourette, Ph.D. Sometimes life doesn't whisper. Sometimes it kicks. For Dr. John M. LaTourette, guidance didn't arrive as a gentle thought or a quiet dream. It came as 3 solid kicks from a brown belt student who wasn't supposed to be able to land even one. That moment hurt physically, but what hurt more was the message hidden inside it. It was time to review his life. The hard worker who hit a wall, Dr. LaTourette, had been raised to work hard. And he did. After serving in Korea as a codebreaker and earning a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo, he poured himself into building a karate school. He worked 60-70 hours a week for 6 straight years. At first, it was passion. Then it became pressure. Then it became exhaustion. He read self-help books like Think and Grow Rich. He studied success principles. He believed in mental programming. But something was missing. He was trying to improve his performance without improving himself. The message he didn't want to hear after that painful training session, he went into meditation and asked a question. Why am I getting worse when I'm programming myself to get better? The answer shocked him. You don't deserve to be better. Deserve? What did that have to do with anything? He asked again what he needed to do. The response was clear. Stop drinking. Stop smoking. He ignored it. Until one night at a Christmas party, when he saw a drunk friend stumbling, stained, sick, and a voice whispered in his ear, "That's you in 10 years?" That moment changed everything. He quit alcohol that night. Forever. He realized something powerful. You cannot program for success while living in conflict with it. Becoming so good. No one could see it after cleaning up his lifestyle and continuing his mental training. Something strange happened. At a tournament in Pocatello, Idaho, he was so fast that the judges couldn't see him score. He struck. He retreated. He scored clean hits. But the judges saw nothing. Finally, he was disqualified for drawing blood with punches they never even saw. Later, in meditation, he received insight. You are now so fast that normal observers can't see what you're doing. That revelation led to a breakthrough. He redesigned his fighting techniques, not just to be effective, but to be visible to judges. And then, his team dominated tournaments. Lesson: skill alone is not enough. It must be perceived. The business breakthrough in 1980, burned out from physical training, he sensed it was time to pivot. He asked for guidance on what to do next. Soon after, he discovered a small pamphlet by Jeff Cooper titled Principles of Personal Handgun Defense. At first, it seemed insignificant. Then the idea struck like lightning. No one had written a martial arts book focused purely on mental training. That insight led to his first book, Mental Training of a Warrior. He sent the manuscript to Ed Parker, a legendary Kenpo master. Parker loved it, wrote the preface, and promoted him to 5th-degree black belt. Now he needed to publish. One printer quoted $7,000 up front. It didn't feel right. He searched again and found another option, $1.52 per copy. In 6 months, he earned over $26,000. That was the birth of Warrior Publications. The $1 million advertisement years later, book sales dropped. Again, he sought insight. His wife offered a simple observation. People don't read much anymore. They watch videos. That sparked a new direction. But what should he sell? The answer came bluntly. Pick up the phone, ask your students. He did. They didn't want self-defense videos. They wanted speed training. That became the idea for a direct response advertisement inspired by the methods of John Caples, pioneer of measurable direct marketing. The headline read, Speed Hitting. How to hit a man 11 times or more in 1 second or less. That single ad generated $1.2 million in its first year. The bigger lesson about marketing, here's what Dr. Latourette learned. You can be the best in the world. You can work harder than anyone. You can have incredible skills. But if nobody wants what you offer, you earn nothing. Marketing is not manipulation. It is visibility. It is alignment. It is understanding what people truly desire and meeting that desire with excellence. The deep truth behind his success, his journey teaches 3 powerful layers of growth. 1. Character before capability. You must deserve what you want. 2. Perception before profit. Skill must be packaged properly. 3. Listening before launching. The market tells you what to build if you ask. He discovered that guidance often comes as a painful moment, a coincidence, a gut feeling, a blunt instruction, or even through another person. And when you act on it with discipline and humility, results follow. Moral lessons from this chapter: success begins with internal alignment, not external effort. You cannot outwork poor habits. Deserving success requires personal responsibility. Being excellent is not enough. You must make excellence visible. Marketing is about understanding desire, not forcing sales. Ask your audience what they want before building. Trust intuition, but verify it with action. When something doesn't feel right, investigate it. Guidance often appears disguised as coincidence. Clean living sharpens clarity and decision-making. Final thought: sometimes life whispers. Sometimes it nudges. And sometimes it kicks hard enough to wake you up. The question is not whether guidance comes. The question is, are you willing to listen and change? Chapter 23. The Complete PR Agency by Linda Arnold. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if your workday could be both wildly creative and deeply organized at the same time? At the Arnold Agency, we discovered it's not only possible, it's transformative. It all started when we brought the Silva method into our daily routine. At first, it seemed almost too good to be true. A system that could help with creativity, management, client relationships, and even health. It sounded like it had been custom-made for our agency. Entering the creative dimension, the first thing we learned in Silva training was how to enter the alpha brainwave level, the mental state where creativity flows effortlessly. In this state, the right brain kicks in. Ideas appear seemingly out of nowhere, and solutions emerge naturally. It wasn't just us. Legends across fields had found the same magic. Richard Bach, author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull, praised Silva for its mental discipline and creative visualization. Shakti Gawain described it as essential for creative breakthroughs. Doc Severinsen, the famous bandleader, used it to deepen his music and spiritual life. Harry Jackson, a world-renowned sculptor, credited it with giving him peace of mind. Even singers, opera stars, and actresses have credited Silva for boosting creativity and focus. If it works for the masters, surely it could work for a busy PR agency. Managing the business. Intuitively, creativity alone, though, doesn't keep a business running. That's where the Silva method's management benefits come in. In a PR agency, we're constantly juggling 2 worlds: creative minds, spontaneous and emotional, thriving on expression. Management minds, structured and controlling, focused on budgets, deadlines, and projections. Silva teaches us how to switch seamlessly between these modes. We can sense whether someone is in creative mode or management mode. That understanding smooths conflicts, improves communication, and allows managers to make intuitive, innovative decisions. It's the best of both worlds. Structure meets imagination. Intuition and client relationships. Silva isn't just about self-improvement. It's a course in human relationships. We can sense emotions and detect problems in others' health or relationships. We can program solutions mentally without anyone even knowing we're doing it. By practicing these techniques with clients and prospects, we naturally resolve conflicts, strengthen bonds, and build trust. It's not about manipulation. It's about doing the right thing while benefiting everyone involved. Relaxation as a superpower. PR work is notoriously stressful. Deadlines, client demands, media crises, stress is constant, and stress damages health, judgment, and creativity. Silva taught us a simple but powerful truth. Relaxation fuels performance. You don't need a yoga studio. You don't need a special meditation room. Sometimes, all it takes is a quiet few minutes in the restroom, closing the door, entering your alpha level, and recharging mentally. One executive learned this the hard way. He fell asleep mid-session and tumbled off the seat. A funny lesson, even relaxation works better when done carefully. Whether it's solving creative problems, managing a complex project, or improving client relationships, Silva gives you the tools to think clearly, act creatively, and stay healthy, all in the same day. Key lessons from the Arnold Agency. Creativity and management can coexist. Silva teaches how to switch between right brain spontaneity and left brain control. Intuition improves decision-making, understand emotions, and anticipate outcomes for clients and colleagues. Stress blocks performance. Mental relaxation, even for a few minutes, boosts health, clarity, and productivity. Helping others has ripple effects. Using your abilities to improve relationships naturally strengthens your business and community. Consistency matters. Practicing Silva daily integrates creativity, intuition, and wellness into every aspect of work. At the Arnold Agency, we didn't just learn a technique. We discovered a complete way of working and living that turns challenges into opportunities, stress into clarity, and creativity into results. Chapter 24. The Intuitive Entrepreneur. A story of mind and success. Victor Covens had always felt a spark inside him, the kind of spark that whispers, "You can do more. You can achieve the impossible." Starting his own business was never just about making money. It was about testing his limits, solving problems, and discovering the extraordinary potential of the human mind. Victor knew that running a small business wasn't for the faint-hearted. It required initiative, confidence, self-discipline, and relentless determination. But he also knew something else. The real power came from tapping into an invisible source of guidance, the mind itself. In 1974, Victor took the Silva Method course, and everything began to shift. Suddenly, he could step into what Jose Silva called the alpha level of mind, a quiet, focused state where intuition, creativity, and insight seemed to flow effortlessly. Decisions that once felt complicated became clear. Problems that seemed insurmountable suddenly had solutions. A year later, Victor applied these techniques in a bold way. He flew around the world on commercial airlines in record time, 47 hours, 48 minutes, and 7 seconds to set a Guinness World Record. Crossing the equator twice, landing in 9 countries, and navigating complex flight connections, he visualized every step in advance. He imagined conversations with editors, smooth customs procedures, and even the feeling of pride as his name appeared in the record book. Every detail was rehearsed in his mind, and it all unfolded almost magically in real life. Victor didn't just stop at records. In 1979, he followed his intuition on a 240-mile blind date, and it led to over 20 years of happy marriage. Later, in 1987, a dream guided him to open a cruise-only travel agency. By trusting his intuition, Victor built a business that combined his passions with purpose. Silva groups and instructors loved it. Students learned new mental techniques, and the business thrived. But perhaps the most rewarding use of his intuition wasn't for business, it was for helping others. In Baltimore, Victor organized a Silva course for homeless people. The results were staggering, a 70% success rate in finding homes or jobs within just 1 week. He discovered that the mind, when trained and focused, could create real, tangible change in the world. Through it all, Victor remained a dedicated Silva practitioner. He attended nearly every convention, organized courses in Baltimore, and explored advanced seminars, always deepening his understanding of how the mind could guide action. Victor's journey shows that small business success isn't just about strategy or marketing. It's about connecting with a deeper part of yourself, using intuition to guide decisions, and combining planning with feeling. Every problem solved, every opportunity seized, and every life touched began in the mind well before it appeared in the physical world. Key lessons from Victor's journey. Success begins in the mind. Visualize the outcome, feel the achievement, and your actions will follow. Intuition is a powerful business tool. Trust your inner guidance for decisions when logic alone isn't enough. Combine planning with feeling. Emotionally experiencing success while planning amplifies results. Use your mind creatively. Mental rehearsal, visualization, and projection can smooth complex challenges. Purpose drives performance. Aligning your work with meaning attracts support and higher intelligence. Helping others amplifies impact. Real success includes lifting others and creating positive change. Chapter 25. Advanced Communications by Michael Wickett. Have you ever wished you could truly understand what someone else is thinking or feeling without them saying a word? Imagine walking into a room and sensing the fears, hopes, and intentions of everyone present, and using that insight to communicate in a way that just clicks. That's not a superpower from a comic book. It's what Michael Wickett calls subjective communication, a skill that goes far beyond the techniques taught in any standard public speaking class. Beyond words and gestures. We all know that communication involves words, tone, gestures, body language, pacing, and timing. Take a class in public speaking, and you'll learn to polish each one. But there's a layer deeper than all of that. Your mind itself can become a communication tool. You can detect what others are thinking or feeling and respond with clarity and precision. This is the magic of subjective communication, and it's not just for public speakers. Salespeople, managers, parents, and even students can all benefit. Michael knows this firsthand because he's played all of these roles. Learning from experience, Pepe Romero, a longtime member of Silva International, shares a story that perfectly illustrates the power of this skill. Pepe had just started helping teach Silva techniques to salespeople, unsure of his public speaking abilities. During one class, he shared a story about a married couple he was selling to. Mid-story, Ed Byrne Jr., observing from the audience, realized Pepe had missed a subtle teaching point about asking the right questions. As Ed thought to himself, Pepe suddenly added the exact words Ed had intended. It's great when your clients give you all the information you need, but when they don't, it's important to know how to ask the right questions. Pepe was stunned. He hadn't consciously decided to say it. It had come directly from his mind, reading Ed's thought. That moment confirmed the truth of what Jose Silva had always said. Just open your mind, and all the information you need will be there when you need it. From that point on, Pepe taught classes with confidence, noticing how the subjective communication between him and his audience allowed him to sense their insecurities, their excitement, and even the best ways to guide them all in real time. Making public speaking easier. Ed Byrne Jr. also discovered that subjective communication could transform a class. On his first day teaching, he felt the audience's doubts and insecurities, and they in turn fed his own uncertainty. By the next day, he learned to project confidence and enthusiasm intentionally. The result? Both he and the audience felt better, engaged, and open. It was a clear demonstration of a simple principle. Awareness plus adjustment equals effective communication. Using intuition in personal life. This skill isn't limited to professional settings. Michael used the same approach to deepen his relationship with his daughter, Kristen. He entered a meditative state and asked his intuition how to get closer to her. The answer was simple: ask her. Later that day, during a car ride, he asked, "Honey, what could I do to be a better father to you?" Kristen's response was immediate: "Take me on some of your trips." Michael arranged for her to accompany him on a work trip, and she immediately demonstrated maturity, enthusiasm, and cooperation, helping him set up for his presentation and leaving at the appropriate time. The company executive attending the meeting was impressed, not just by Michael's business acumen, but by the depth of his connection with his daughter. Since then, these trips have become a cherished tradition, deepening their bond year after year. The lesson is clear. Subjective communication isn't just about reading minds. It's about opening your awareness to opportunities, emotions, and guidance that can transform both your work and personal life. Key lessons from advanced communications. Subjective communication amplifies impact. You can sense what people are thinking and feeling, then adjust your words and actions accordingly. Awareness plus adjustment is equal to effective communication. Detect insecurities, doubts, or needs in others, and consciously respond to improve outcomes. Confidence is contagious. Projecting confidence and enthusiasm positively influences your audience or team. Intuition guides action. Simple, thoughtful questions inspired by intuition can deepen relationships and reveal opportunities. Practice makes it natural. The more you practice subjective communication, the easier it becomes to sense and respond to the needs of others. Chapter 26. Subjective Education by Sister Naomi Curtin, SSND, PhD. Imagine a classroom full of children, their eyes bright, their curiosity palpable. José Silva noticed something remarkable early in his research. The children seemed to know what questions he would ask before he asked them. They weren't guessing, they were intuitively tuned into something far deeper than ordinary learning. Silva realized that children are naturally intuitive. Their minds, often in the alpha brainwave state, can tap into information beyond what has been directly taught or experienced. They sense, they perceive, and they know. But as people grow older, most lose this ability. Society teaches them otherwise. Stop lying. Who told you that? You're making that up. And soon, children learn to silence their intuition, hiding a gift that could have changed their learning forever. The power of intuition and the alpha mind Silva discovered that accessing the alpha state allows the brain to create stronger impressions of information. This means information sticks better, recall becomes easier, and problem-solving improves. In other words, not only can students remember facts more clearly, but they can also use their intuition to supplement that knowledge, enhancing their intelligence naturally. Silva explained it this way: "We thought intelligence could only access information stored on our own neurons, but at Alpha, we can sense information impressed on other neurons anywhere. This is subjective communication. Using others' experiences wisely enhances not only knowledge, but also wisdom." Evidence in action research has repeatedly confirmed the power of these techniques. At the Autonomous University of Tlaxcala in Mexico, 67.7% of students improved their IQ classification after learning Silva's methods. Students at the University of Tasmania, Australia, improved their exam scores by 1 letter grade after learning the simple 3 fingers technique. Even children displayed extraordinary abilities. Dawn, a 6th grade student, dreamt where her mother had misplaced a purse. The next day, she found it exactly as her intuition had shown her. Silva's methods were turning ordinary children into geniuses, capable of accessing information beyond their personal experiences. Transforming behavior and learning Silva techniques also transformed behavior. Marie Buckingham, a teacher, faced 4 disruptive students in her junior high class. Instead of punishment, she projected positive thoughts to each girl during the early morning hours, encouraging them to behave well and recognize their own potential. Within a few classes, the troublemakers became cooperative, even enthusiastic participants. One admitted, I think it's more fun being good than bad." Similarly, students could borrow talents from their peers. A drawing student who struggled could mentally borrow the skills of the best artist in the class. Alpha Mind made it possible, unlocking creativity and confidence. The responsibility of adults. The potential of intuitive education is clear, but it requires guidance. Parents and teachers play a critical role in helping children develop their innate abilities. By teaching students to use intuition, self-control, and creative problem-solving, we equip them to succeed not just academically, but in life. Research backs this up. Dr. George Maycock at Appalachian State University found that after Silva training, 25 of 30 students showed significant gains in creative and intuitive functioning. High IQ students, in particular, were naturally intuitive, highlighting the untapped potential within every child. The message is clear. Intuition is a tool for learning, for problem-solving, and for living a fuller life. It is our responsibility to teach it, nurture it, and ensure that every child has the chance to flourish. Moral lessons. Children are naturally intuitive. This ability should be nurtured, not dismissed. Alpha brainwave states enhance learning. Stronger impressions of information improve recall, IQ, and problem-solving. Intuition supplements knowledge. Accessing information beyond your own experience increases wisdom. Positive projection can transform behavior. Encouragement and mental guidance can turn troublemakers into cooperative learners. Sharing and modeling talent enhances learning. Children can learn from the abilities of others, unlocking creativity and confidence. Adults have a responsibility. Parents and teachers must guide students to develop intuition, self-control, and life skills. Research confirms the results. Silva techniques improve IQ, grades, and creative abilities in both children and adults. Chapter 27. The Intuitive Athlete by Giuseppina Volteia Del Vicario. Imagine stepping onto a court, a track, or a field, and knowing, almost before it happens, what your opponent will do next. You move, you react, you score, all as if guided by a quiet inner voice. That's the power of the intuitive athlete. Sports aren't just games, they are schools for life. They teach teamwork, persistence, focus, and the reward of hard work. Every athlete, from a child learning to dribble a basketball to a professional fencer on the world stage, learns more than just skills. They learn how to think, adapt, and anticipate. An Army instructor at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point once explained why mental training for athletes is so vital. The ability to maintain focus, stay calm, and make critical decisions is the same as a leader in combat. Sports develop leaders because they teach you how to think under pressure. The secret weapon. Anticipation. Top athletes know that intuition isn't magic. It's mental projection. It's the ability to sense what's coming next, to anticipate the opponent's move, or to feel the best strategy without hesitation. Basketball legend Walt Frazier shared how he and teammate Bill Bradley could almost read each other's minds. Sometimes he has passed the ball before I've taken the first step. It's like telepathy, Frazier said. Imagine if you could sense your customer's needs, anticipate your competitor's moves, or coordinate with your team mentally. This is exactly the same principle. Olympic fencers take this a step further. Sports psychologist Andrei Wojciechowicz taught them a visualization called the helmet technique. Imagine putting the opponent's head over your own, seeing the match through their eyes. This mental exercise allowed fencers to instinctively plan the correct strategy, often giving them the edge to win even against world champions. Similarly, shooters face invisible variables: wind, tiny defects in equipment, or subtle differences in ammunition. Lance Miller, a U.S. Olympic shooting coach, teaches athletes to sense these factors before taking a shot. If everything doesn't feel right, don't shoot, he advises. Intuition and careful mental projection become as important as physical skill. Entering the special state of mind. Have you ever had a day when everything clicked? When every movement was perfect, every decision right? Athletes call it being in the zone. Jose Silva referred to it as a special state of mind. You can train to enter this state at will. 1. Recall a moment when you were in the zone Every action perfect. Every reaction right. 2. Remember exactly how you felt physically, mentally, and emotionally. 3. Use the words special state of mind as a trigger to recall that feeling in future practice or competition. 4. Each time you perform well, reinforce the feeling in your mind. Over time, entering this state becomes automatic, improving your performance consistently. Giuseppina Del Vicario herself lived this principle. Competing in Tai Chi Chuan, she won the Italian national championship 3 years in a row, facing both men and women, and retired undefeated. Today, she shares these mental techniques as a Silva instructor, guiding athletes to reach their highest potential. Moral lessons from the intuitive athlete. Intuition is a skill, not magic. Learn to anticipate and sense outcomes before they happen. Mental preparation equals physical success. Visualization and focus enhance performance. Special states of mind can be trained. Recalling peak moments reinforces confidence and precision. Teamwork and telepathy matter. Understanding and anticipating others' actions can create seamless coordination. Attention to subtle factors is crucial. Awareness of unseen variables can be the difference between success and failure. In sports and in life, success isn't just about strength or speed. It's about clarity, focus, and the quiet power of anticipation. Chapter 28. Silva Techniques in Social Work. A story of hope. It was a cold, rainy November day in Virginia Beach, and Janelle Monaco Lytle was feeling the weight of life. Mortgage worries pressed on her mind, and she thought she needed sympathy. But when she spoke to Linda, a woman she met at a friend's church, Janelle's perspective shifted instantly. Linda didn't ask for sympathy. She simply stated, "I wish I had a house and a house payment to worry about. My husband, son, and I are living in the woods a few blocks from here." Even their dog, Buddy, shared the same harsh reality. That night, as the wind howled outside and the temperature dipped, Janelle lay awake. It wasn't the noise or the cold keeping her alert. It was the thought of Linda and her family. In that moment, she made a quiet but powerful commitment to God. She would use the Silva techniques to help the homeless. A plan comes together through what seemed like a series of coincidences. Janelle found herself at a Silva System sales lecture series in Baltimore. There, she met Truxton Sykes, president of the Baltimore Homeless Union. Their handshake felt more like a meeting of minds than a simple introduction. Truxton shared his dream of using Silva techniques to help the homeless reintegrate into society. Janelle felt an unmistakable sense that God had guided them together. When she learned that Baltimore had 32,000 homeless people, Janelle's heart both sank and soared. If she could reach just 1%, 320 people, that might create a ripple effect that could change lives far beyond the city. Mental preparation and prayer back in Virginia Beach. Janelle spent every day mentally interacting with people she hadn't even met. She visualized their faces, imagined their struggles, and prayed for the words that would inspire them to change their lives. Her efforts paid off. 50 homeless people showed up for the introductory lecture, and 49 signed up for the full course. Janelle's prayers and visualization had created a tangible result before she even began teaching. Lessons in resilience, the journey was far from easy. On the third day of class, Janelle discovered her van had been broken into, and most of her Silva materials, priceless books, and signed works were gone. Yet, instead of despairing, she turned the challenge into a group exercise. She placed a rock on the table, had the students focus, and guided them to intuitively locate the missing materials. By that afternoon, much of her equipment was recovered, all thanks to the students' mental focus and creativity. Success stories kept coming. Warren, a man who had lost everything after the tragic death of his son, found hope and a path to recovery through Silva techniques. He overcame addiction, regained stability, and prepared to reunite with his family. Truxton Sykes reported that 70% of the homeless trained found jobs and homes, proving the profound impact of belief, visualization, and mental discipline. Janelle's message. Janelle reminded her students from the beginning, I know you are wise souls to have chosen this most difficult path. What you learn here will inspire others, and even I will learn more from you than you will from me. The course became not just about teaching Silva techniques, it became a living example of hope, resilience, and the power of focused intention. Key lessons from Jonal's journey. Service multiplies blessings. Helping others often brings unexpected rewards to the helper. Visualization and intention work. Mentally preparing and seeing success can create real-world results. Faith and commitment matter. Committing fully to a higher purpose strengthens resolve. Challenges reveal potential. Obstacles, like theft or setbacks, can be transformed into learning experiences. Small actions create ripple effects. Training even a small group can impact a much larger community. Hope is contagious. Even those who feel hopeless can be inspired to change when guided with compassion and practical tools. Jonal's story is a powerful reminder. The mind, guided with intention and love, can create miracles, even in the most difficult circumstances. Chapter 29. Spiritual Leadership by Rev. James R. Murray. Imagine a man walking into a church, not to preach in the usual way, but to hand over years of research that could change the way religious leaders serve their congregations. This man was Jose Silva, the founder of the Silva method. Before ever teaching his techniques to the public, Silva offered his discoveries to the churches. Why? Because he believed the mind itself was a divine tool, a bridge between humans and God. All religions should be teaching this, Silva would say. God is not physical, God is spiritual. The mind is not physical either. We are made in the image of the Creator, not in appearance, but in our ability to think, create, and solve problems. Silva taught that prayer and spiritual connection are more effective when approached with the mind's power. The physical senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell work in the physical world. But to reach the spiritual dimension, one must enter the alpha level, a state of mind where visualization and imagination become the language of connection with God. Stories of transformation. One minister reported that after practicing Silva techniques for several months, his prayers became far more powerful than in the previous 12 years of ministry. Silva explained that this happened because he was now connecting with the spiritual realm, not merely communicating through physical actions. Reverend Myrtle A. Ridgway, initially skeptical of Silva's course, discovered its surprising power. By using mental projection at the alpha level, she attracted more students to her classes, improved her healing practice, enhanced her finances, and even visualized her ideal marriage, bringing it into reality. Sister Charlotte Bruck, working as a counselor for children with serious problems, found that daily meditation and alpha-level projection not only helped her own well-being, but also enabled her to guide children to better outcomes. She planted seeds of positivity and faith, trusting that the spiritual process would nurture them to fruition. Silva's techniques proved useful across countless scenarios: preparing places of worship, supporting abused children, fostering racial understanding, or even solving practical problems like fixing church artwork through a dream-inspired method. Challenges and acceptance change is always met with resistance. Just as the religious establishment rejected new knowledge in the time of Jesus or Galileo, Silva encountered skepticism from church leaders, scientists, and business people. Yet, he persisted, not to replace religion, but to add practical spiritual tools. His findings, open to interpretation and further discovery, have proven valuable to millions worldwide, regardless of faith, culture, or education. Silva's message was clear. We are all made in the image of God, equipped with minds capable of correcting problems, creating solutions, and making the world better. Spiritual leadership, then, is not just about guiding others. It begins with mastering oneself through the mind. Key lessons from spiritual leadership. Mind as a divine tool. We communicate with God and influence reality through the mind, using visualization and imagination. Alpha-level connection. Spiritual communication requires a non-physical approach, entering a state of deep mental focus. Helping yourself enables helping others. Personal development, clarity, and projection of positive intentions improve service to others. Persistence despite resistance. New knowledge often meets skepticism, but consistent practice and faith reveal its power. Universal access. Silva techniques benefit anyone, regardless of religion, culture, or background. Creative problem solving. Mental tools can address spiritual, practical, and social challenges effectively. In essence, spiritual leadership begins within. By training the mind and connecting with the spiritual dimension, we gain the clarity, compassion, and creativity to make a meaningful impact in the world. Chapter 30. Claim Your Creative Heritage by Nelda Sheets. Imagine a room filled with 125 young artists in northern Texas in 1966, each eager to unlock the spark of creativity inside them. The smell of paint and turpentine mingled with the excitement of discovery. But the lesson they would learn that day wasn't about brushes, colors, or perspective. It was about something far deeper. Their mentor, Professor Dord Fitz, leaned forward and said with conviction, "Kids, claim your creative heritage. It's more important to learn to be a creative being than to learn how to mix paints. First, become a creative being." That advice would shape the course of their lives. When they met Jose Silva, they discovered a method that opened doors to levels of consciousness where creativity truly springs from the inner mind itself. For Nelda Sheets, this journey began with the goal of simply getting in the mood to paint. But with Silva's techniques, she learned how to remove creative blocks and tap into her own unique inner world. Creativity, she realized, wasn't just about painting. It could be expressed in music, dance, literature, inventions, or even ways to improve business and humanity. Claiming your creative heritage, Nelda shares practical ways to awaken and honor your creative self. 1. Dare to be original. Think of Thomas Edison or Henry Ford. Crazy ideas often lead to breakthroughs. 2. Discover your own song. Dare to share it. Someone will listen. 3. Exercise your right brain. Listen to music and translate it into shapes or colors. Doodle, record dreams, or use Silva techniques to attune to other creative minds. 4. Think like a child. Wonder about everything. Remember, as Picasso said, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. 5. Use art to connect with your true self. It's not just a hobby, it's a way to discover and share your spiritual insight. Jose Silva described 2 kinds of creativity: rearranging what already exists into something new, bringing something entirely new into the world, often requiring a psychic connection to higher levels of mind. Nelda learned that the creative process often thrives when fun and passion lead the way, not judgment or fear of what others might think. Whether painting a commissioned portrait or composing a song, the key was to attune to the subject, connect deeply, and let ideas flow from within. Wisdom from creative masters, Alan Phillips. Composer. Passion drives creativity. The more emotionally engaged, the stronger your creative output. Creativity thrives in unpredictability. Structure your time, but allow for freedom and spontaneity. Take initiative. Start creating, even imperfectly, and inspiration will follow. Ed Byrne, Jr. Writer. Use the alpha level to think and create. It's the brain's creative state. Dreams, mentors, and inspiring environments can spark ideas. Be yourself. Originality is always stronger than imitation. Juan Silva, inventor. Creativity can produce practical innovations, like his vending machine, blending intuition with action. Richard Bach, author. Some ideas come from higher intelligence or unexpected experiences, like the voice of a seagull that inspired Jonathan Livingston Seagull. The key is trusting the unseen and taking action when inspiration arrives. Even top professionals, from band leaders like Doc Severinsen to sculptors like Harry Jackson, found Silva's techniques help them access creativity, inner peace, and spiritual depth. Creativity isn't just a skill, it's our heritage, a reflection of the image of our Creator. Jose Silva always emphasized using creativity not just for personal gain, but for the betterment of humanity. You will continue to strive to take part in constructive and creative activities to make this a better world to live in. You are a superior human being. You have greater understanding, compassion, and patience with others. Moral lessons. Creativity is a birthright. Claim it before learning tools or techniques. True creativity comes from connecting deeply with your inner self or inner child. Passion, fun, and curiosity are more powerful than fear, judgment, or structure. Creativity can be expressed in countless ways: art, music, literature, inventions, and problem-solving. Surround yourself with inspiring, positive, and creative people to enhance your own flow. Take initiative, start creating even when you feel unsure. The process sparks inspiration. Use creativity not only for personal expression, but to contribute to a better world. Chapter 31. Developing Your Psychic Ability by Jose Luis, Pepe, Romero. Have you ever had a dream that later came true? Or a sudden feeling that someone would call you and they did? Maybe you've experienced déjà vu, walking into a new place and feeling you've been there before. These are not coincidences. They are glimpses of your psychic potential. Most people think psychic abilities are reserved for the lucky few. But according to research, nearly all of us have psychic experiences. We just don't know how to access them consciously. Jose Silva discovered that our brains naturally dip into a relaxed state, called the alpha level, dozens of times per minute. The problem is, these moments are fleeting, just fractions of a second. Imagine if you could extend these moments at will. That's where true psychic development begins. The first steps developing your psychic ability starts with observation. Notice every hunch, dream, or intuitive feeling. Did it later prove accurate? When you recognize an intuitive experience, take time to relax and enter your alpha state. Revisit the experience, feel it fully, and store it in your memory. The more experiences you review, the faster your abilities grow. Silva training teaches that working with a live instructor accelerates your progress. A trained mind can guide yours, helping you to function psychically in ways self-study rarely achieves. But even small, careful practices on your own, like guessing who's calling or noticing fleeting impressions, can build confidence in your intuitive power. Practicing psychic skills in Silva seminars, students practice in small groups: one psychic, one orientologist, and one observer. The orientologist gives the psychic details about a person with a real problem. At the alpha level, the psychic investigates health, relationships, or business issues. They detect details as a doctor would, asking questions mentally and observing answers internally. After the psychic completes a report, the orientologist confirms accuracy. Then, the psychic mentally corrects the problem. Through repeated practice, 10 cases, minimum, students develop a reliable, real-world psychic ability. The mind thrives on solving real problems, not guessing games. Psychic power is meant to help and heal, not play cards or predict dice rolls. Real-world psychic miracles. Ricardo Floyd's son, Bobby, was hit by a car. Distraught, Ricardo called on Silva-trained psychics, Jose and Isabel. Isabel detected a hidden issue pressing on Bobby's brain, information later confirmed by surgeons. Bobby recovered fully, a testament to trained psychic intuition in action. Elaine Millen, another Silva student, had a dream about her sister's undiagnosed lung tumors. Acting on her intuition, she guided the doctors to examine the right lung carefully, discovering tumors the doctors had missed. This kind of medical intuition saves lives. Prophecy and the future, detecting the future, is harder than detecting the past. The past is already impressed on the mind. The future consists of thoughts yet to be materialized. But Silva students learn the future can be influenced by imagining and mentally correcting potential problems. Like a train heading toward a stalled car or a car accident, they can prevent disaster. Marina Niemeyer of the Netherlands experienced this firsthand. A vivid dream warned her of a fatal car accident. Using Silva techniques, she mentally reprogrammed the situation. During her drive, she recognized a green van from her dream and proceeded cautiously. She passed multiple real accidents safely, demonstrating the power of higher intelligence and psychic foresight. Key lessons from psychic development. Everyone has psychic potential. Dreams, déjà vu, hunches. They're signals your mind can access information beyond the ordinary. Alpha is the gateway. The relaxed brain state is where intuition becomes clear. Practice entering alpha consciously. Observation builds ability. Record and review every intuitive experience. Feelings are as important as facts. Practice on real problems. Psychic ability thrives when used to solve issues that matter, not for guessing games. Guided learning accelerates growth. Working with an instructor or experienced psychic sharpens your skills. The future is flexible. Psychically detecting problems allows you to intervene and prevent potential negative outcomes. Medical intuition saves lives. Trained psychics can detect hidden health issues and guide corrective action. Psychic ability is not magic. It's a trained skill. With awareness, practice, and guidance, anyone can access information beyond the ordinary, heal problems, and even help shape a better future. Chapter 32. Silva Techniques in Other Fields by José Silva Jr. Imagine a world where your mind could calm violence, solve legal disputes, and even anticipate mechanical problems before they happen. For many, it sounds like science fiction, but for those trained in the Silva techniques, it's real life. My father never intended to teach people to be psychic. In fact, he often said his discoveries were guided by a higher intelligence, almost as if the answers found him. But once he realized anyone could develop these abilities, he began to wonder, how could this power be applied in the real world? The results, as we've seen, are nothing short of extraordinary. Calm in the eye of danger, Dennis McKeon, a retired police officer from New Orleans, had faced anger, hatred, and threats countless times. He wanted to prevent crime rather than constantly deal with its aftermath. Using Silva techniques, Dennis discovered a simple but powerful method. When confronted by an angry individual, he would smile and say, "Thank you. That's the nicest thing anyone has said to me today." It sounds almost absurd, but it worked. By projecting calm, love, and peace mentally, he diffused tense situations and often prevented violence. Dennis also practiced mental projection over his entire patrol area, visualizing peace and harmony. Over time, residents became calmer, friendlier, and happier, and Dennis himself felt more fulfilled at the end of each day. Negative thoughts and actions will have no influence over me at any level of the mind, he recalled, a statement that became his shield in the storm of conflict. Legal insight from a higher-level Marcelino Alcala, a Silva instructor and attorney in the Caribbean, found that these techniques could guide him in law as well. Negotiations, settlements, and cross-examinations all benefited from insights gained in the alpha level of mind. Diana Navarro, another attorney in Texas, once faced a deadlock between a client and a business partner. Using Silva visualization, she programmed the situation in her mind, sensing what each party truly wanted. The next morning, the problem was resolved exactly as visualized. At Alpha, she explains, there are no secrets. Truth reveals itself, guiding you toward the best solutions for everyone. Seeing the unseen in the skies, then there's Tweet Coleman, a pioneering airline pilot. In flight, she sometimes senses problems before instruments do. Once, a flight attendant mentioned a strange noise near a tire. Tweet visualized the mechanism mentally and realized 2 cotter pins were missing. Upon landing, her intuition was confirmed. The pins had indeed fallen out. She also uses her intuition to navigate weather, complementing radar with mental visualization to make safe decisions in real time. Tweet's skills didn't just help her career. They paved the way for future women in aviation through scholarships and mentorship, leaving a legacy of opportunity. These stories show the Silva techniques in action: police officers reducing violence, attorneys resolving disputes peacefully, and pilots making safer flights. The thread that connects them all is simple. The mind, when trained and focused, can achieve remarkable things. Key lessons from Silva techniques. Calm and positivity can diffuse conflict. Mental projection of peace can prevent violence and tension. Alpha-level insights guide better decisions. From legal disputes to daily problem-solving, intuition can reveal hidden truths. Visualization enhances practical skills. Mental rehearsal can detect problems before they occur, even in high-stakes situations. Your mind shapes your environment. Projecting harmony can change not just yourself, but the people and spaces around you. Legacy is built through service skills learned aren't just for personal gain. They can improve the world for those who follow.